bowl in the history of Heroes of the
Yes.
Storm at this point in time, and the draft.
And hands down the best tournament that
Oh
we've
my
had so
goodness.
far. Just the play between these players, oh, incredible. All right, Jake, you got some stats for me in terms of what maps are going to be available for this set?
I know one thing that's actually a crazy statistic. Dragonshire is the one banned map
Yep.
in the series.
And that's pretty crazy to think. And I'm sure that Cloud9 Maelstrom knows that there's probably some Tempo Storm maps that they don't want to play on. And they said, okay, Dragonshire, we're more than comfortable playing on these weird maps, especially Blackheart's Bay. They have such an incredible win rate on this map. I think they're still undefeated here. They were through the group
I
stage. I'm
believe
just
you're,
trying to
I believe
recall.
you're correct. And
Did they play on the winners final set? No, that was the banned out map during the winners final set. So
yeah, that's,
that means they're still undefeated here. They have a, they can still hold on to that. They're obviously quite strong. They want to start out this series with a quick 1-0, and let's see if they're capable of doing that. But let's pay attention to these drafts, this bans first. What was the common thread in the last set? Actually, there wasn't any particular respect men's, with the exception of Haunted Mines, or we saw the Lost Viking and Kerrigan. But for the most part, it's been Illidan, Rhaegar, etc. Stitches? Who?
Wow, that's actually rather peculiar. Now, we know they've been studying each other quite a bit,
Yeah.
but banning out Stitches is an interesting strategy. Maybe they're saying, look,
It makes sense.
they stick to Stitches and ETC, and this could be Temple Storm trying to grab ETC early on.
Honestly, the two games that they won during the winners finals, or not. I mean, obviously they won 3 games because Maelstrom ended up taking the series. But Stitches Tronda was 2 of those wins. Both the times they played Stitches Tronda, they won. Maelstrom did. So, sure, if they're gonna pick a band, they've been going for the Illidan all this time, but that hasn't really been a consistent theme. King Caffeine on the Stitches with Cloud9 Maelstrom, they're the only team that's really had huge success with the Stitches hook, pull, and eliminate style that used to be so prevalent, but a lot of teams, especially with these Stitches nerfs, just hasn't become so prevalent.
Yeah, that's actually really true. And it's cool to see them still looking at Stitches as this massive threat and banning him out. But it's still true that they might be trying to throw that ETC onto Maelstrom early, because banning out the Stitches, it makes you wonder, how frequently do we see them running? I mean, yeah, they can definitely play Diablo. Yeah, they can definitely play Muradin. But how often do we see them running a hero like Tyrael or a new Barak?
Good point. Good point. Okay, so they opt for the Jaina pickup in perhaps ETC.
Is that falling too much in the hands of what Temple Storm wants? Maybe. But by doing this, they allow Temple Storm to scoop up. They have the potential of getting ETC and Uther.
Yeah.
And that is a very strong start to the draft.
We've seen them do work where Illidan has that Divine Shield if they want, or even the stun. That can also file into them perhaps going Sonya even later on in the draft. We've seen that they set themselves up for that with the Uther Illidan combo. I'll have to pay attention, see what they go for. I think Uther has been doing work for Tempo Storm thus far.
He has. He really has. And just that Divine Shield pickup, they get it 9 times out of 10 in this event, which is crazy to think about, and it's worked out relatively well for them. And they've made it to the grand finals. I guess that's okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, so I'm told. There's the ETC. Are they going to try to lock in their healer?
Kubi, I just thought of a ridiculous stat.
Oh, yeah?
Tempo Storm might be here in the grand finals, but every series they've played has gone to Game 5.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is very insane, of course. That's, three series now. Over the course of these 2 days, they have played 15 games now, and they're going into at least 3 more, with the potential for 10 more.
Well,
That's you need some stamina to get through that
do.
many sets over the course of these few days.
I'm sure they're drinking that coffee life, having some tea, maybe even the energy drinks, but carbonation can be your enemy.
It can be. Ruins the voice. They need to keep those voices up for the comms.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, there it is.
There it is. So very clean. I mean, they thought through it. They made sure they weren't rushing in, just blindly picking up those picks. It's on the surface, it makes a lot of sense, but they want to make sure that they're thinking through every scenario.
They're talking out all of the options that are potential for Cloud9 to counter this type of play, and it's very possible that they are setting themselves up for the Divine Shield on Illidan.
Well, we have 2 more picks available for Maelstrom at this point in time.
This is where
Okay.
early Lost Vikings picks. I think both times that they've grabbed Lost Vikings have been the last pick.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings have flat out won them games. iDream looks unstoppable, and they're going for the Brightwing. They prioritize Brightwing so frequently, and Dreadnought, or Dunk Train, excuse me, looks so good on him.
It's true. The games that I'm thinking back to where he was really getting punished in the early game was when there was the Diablo-Tyrande combo. That's not present here. And all the other time, and not to say that like in the late game he wasn't doing work, but it was just he was getting caught out of position. Even when he had the cleanse, it still wasn't enough to keep him alive. But now, like I said, that combination isn't a threat for the Tempo Storm side.
This is going to be interesting. I think Tassadar and Nazeebo make a lot of sense. We've seen that Nazeebo used to great effectiveness in these games by KO. The Gargantuan providing a massive threat, and those Vikings with a small health pool, the Stomp that you can now control, if you can hit that on the Vikings, it just shreds through the health bar.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. All right. We're going to absolutely see them pick up that damage, and of course these two last picks available. And yeah, they've really been using the fact that no one else is running Nazeebo to a huge advantage of theirs. They can always leave him to the last pick if necessary.
They'll probably go Tassadar for this final pick, though.
Yeah, get that little bit of extra healing. Right now, they don't have any AoE healing.
Yeah, just
I think that's almost like a 100% guaranteed pick.
It seems like a pretty good option for them, but they're going to make sure to, again, think through all of these scenarios. Tassadar, very likely. Zagara, very much an option. And they could even go for Tyrande. Now, Tyrande doesn't have that same synergy as a blow-up comp, but Maelstrom will... Who do you think they'll pick for their tank? Think it'll be Muradin or Diablo?
Muradin. Yeah, hands down. It's just too convenient to deal with the potential for Odin, but more importantly, Illidan. And the reverberation. They have gone to this style to counter Nova.
Wow. This is unexpected, but
yeah.
#1 player, hero killer when it comes to Lost Vikings.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that was an amusing video.
I got Kubi up to speed last
yeah,
night.
I was away while that was a thing.
Stop doing that.
I know.
Stop going away.
There it is. Okay, there's the Muradin. Again, I can't stress the reverberation talent and honestly just all those Thundershock talent or Thunderclap talents that can be picked up early game. They do just such a nice job to counter. And on top of that, he gets imposing presence, which I can never say this word. I'm not even going to try. Multiplies together, and you get quite a bit of attack speed reduction. Yeah. I think it's a pretty solid draft for Maelstrom, and it's really a lot of it's going to come down to how much of an early lead can they get through the soak of the Vikings, and then on the Tempo Storm side of things, they don't have necessarily that aggressive play, but there's a big variable in that of Nova.
That is very true. Muradin's going to be very scary for our Nova player, played by Arthalon in this game.
Yeah, it's going to come down to those stacks and how much can they capitalize on the burst potential. How much roaming is there going to be? Who's going to be in the bottom lane? Is that they have to make sure that it's a very stable hero, someone that isn't going to get sniped off because it's just too far away for the rest of the team to get down there to try and save in time, with the exception of Brightwing rotating down. So something that we'll just keep in mind for the early game as we progress. So I think we've given the guys the go-ahead. I think that they are ready to go. And we'll have this game for you in just a moment. Game #1 of the Grand Finals between Tempo Storm and Cloud9 Maelstrom.
Now, again, we need to point out the fact that Cloud9, they need to win 3 games.
Yes.
It's over. Tempo Storm, they need to win 3 games to reset the bracket and take it to a fresh best-of-5 series, making the potential of 10 games. Could be as short as 3, could be as many as 10.
Which means we could be here till 2 a.m. or 6 a.m. Maybe later. Who knows?
Sunday?
We're going to be here until it's done.
Yeah.
Because these games are incredible. I wouldn't miss them for anything. Sleep for the week.
Sleep for the week.
And you know what? Thanks for you guys for sticking around to check out all this action. The amount of viewers we've had and the support all day has just been incredible. We thank you guys so much for it. Let's get over to introducing these teams on Blackheart's Bay. I got a feeling that the Cloud9 Maelstrom boys over here had some hand in making sure that this was an early map in the pool rotation.
Yeah,
let's get to
I would
introducing
certainly
them.
expect that.
Cloud9 Maelstrom, we have on the blue side Dunk Train, who's going to be playing that Bright Wing Biceps on Vala, King Caffeine on Muradin, iDream's going to be playing the Lost Vikings, and K1 Pro on Jaina.
And on the other half of the map, we do have Tempo Storm with KO playing as Tychus. It's going to be Arthalon on Nova, Dreadnought on Uther, Glaurung playing ETC, and Soldier on Illidan. All 5 riding the Money Pigs into battle. This is the grand finals. And Kubi, I am ecstatic for this series. What?
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about some of these talents real
Yeah.
quick. And the Watchtower actually going completely uncontested for Cloud9 Maelstrom. I think they're probably just looking at the potential for early game pressure between the heroes. You know, Illidan, of course, has a very, very stable base kit. Same could be said easily for ETC. I think they're just saying, no need to put that risk. They probably have the better level 1 team fight.
And right now, Tempo, I mean, they've got this heavy pressure in the top lane. They're just kind of waiting to see where Cloud9 is going to show their hand, and they're just going to respond with aggression in the top lane. Now, one thing we have to consider about this map is when it comes to the rotations and the availability to collect coins on Vikings, it's big. But the Vikings are also kind of a risk to have those coins because of how squishy they are. So it's a double-edged sword, and it's going to take a lot of patience with that. But Soldier in the front line does get polymorph, allowing King Caffeine to get out of that situation. Now, that was very close because when you have the burst damage of Nova, they can really shred through the enemies. But we talked about the coin potential on Vikings. All 5 were collected here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I think all 4 members of Tempo Storm stood in both hits of the Blizzard. She already has 1,200 hero damage.
Oh my goodness. And that's netted them 9 coins. Now Arthalon's going to stall this out for a little bit.
Bit of a misplay early on for Tempo Storm to all be standing in that, and absolutely what allowed them to get the positional advantage for that first set of coins.
Yeah, but you know what? There are 3 Vikings for the overkill of Tychus. He's keeping up in that damage. And look at this. He's just bullying them back one at a time, keeping them from turning those coins in. And that's actually kind of a big deal because if they can prevent the turn in, they give themselves the chance to try to kill those Vikings and steal some coins.
Okay, so perhaps the potential for a 2-person soak in the bottom lane. I was talking about the potential for whomever is in the bottom lane needs to be very careful for those rotations of Nova. Yes, you do kind of solve that problem by having 1 person in the bottom, but no, it would seem as though King Caffeine is rotating up to the mid, trying to put some pressure on to actually scouting out the Merc camps. Oh no, they've spotted Arthalon. This is actually really big. I think they're going to be able to eliminate. Yes, Nova ends up falling very early, and that is a first blood for Cloud9 Maelstrom.
It's a pretty big deal, getting that first blood, just denying that roam of the Nova, and
that's really what it is.
Right, it's just saying, look, you're not safe, and we're gonna blow you up. And they have so much power potential in terms of blowing them up with this composition. This trio, the ladies down here, they can just really annihilate that target very quickly. But Olaf is picked off. And that's nicely done, actually snagging a couple coins from him. But Cloud9, they're currently just rotating around, getting those bottom bruisers and just getting the map control.
Yeah, that's really nice. And they're also, capitalizing, getting that soak. And with the heavy rotation, I think that they're going to be able to put quite a bit of pressure on this bottom lane. With only KO left to defend, and we have 3 heroes and a set of bruisers. It's going to be a real nice amount of pressure.
Yeah, KO in the back. This is actually really tough. Now, Melting Point is going to help them quite a bit in defending this pressure, but it doesn't matter. These towers are going to go down rather quickly. This map is Cloud9's best map for a reason. They're just so good at rotating around and just capitalizing on the coins. And the way it works is by killing the enemy team and getting picks with good rotations, you effectively control the objective on the map, which is coins.
Yep. Absolutely, and those coins can translate into some serious structure damage and pressure moving through those lanes, and you just pay attention to the Cloud9 Maelstrom's rotation, like on this map. It's just everything looks so clean, so very well rehearsed and refreshing to see. That it's just awesome. I love seeing this kind of refined play on such an odd map. I guess if you want to put it that way, it's just not played as much.
Yeah, it's one of the more uncommon maps, but the power of Illidan shining through with his ability to get into the jungle and get those Merc camps, we can see they're actually very aggressive here on the side of Cloud9. Now, we do see Eric falling. That's just one of the Vikings, and the second spawn of chests is upon us. Look at the positioning here for these scouting throws. It's not only giving them vision, but they're revealing KO's position, who will be falling here, picking up yet another kill, 2 pickups, and only 2 Vikings falling on the side of Cloud9.
All right, let's talk about some of these talents that have been grabbed. I got to highlight once again for Muradin, we have the two Thunderclap abilities, Thunder Burn and Reverberation. We got to stress that. Once again, it's just to deal with Illidan. It's nice to reduce the attack speed of all the other heroes, but really, when Illidan's in the thick of things, if you can cut his damage in half, that really helps to mitigate that hero so much, and we'll be paying attention at level 16 where we'll likely see that imposing presence as well. Some of the other talents that have been grabbed there. Yeah, the Envenom is very interesting. It's a very bursty style Jaina. Sometimes we see that arcane intellect picked up at level 4. That might mean that they're expecting more sustain in the fights. And Arthlon actually finds himself getting caught out of position once again. Wrong as well. Yeah, a lot of kills all of a sudden for Cloud9.
Yeah, that's time for a turn-in, which is going to help them keep up in levels. But yeah, picking up those 2 kills, I mean, it's now 4 to 0.5 in favor, but that will be the first fort of the game. So the quest to 10 is going to be pretty darn close.
Yeah, and they did it. Temple Storm did enough damage to this mid set of structures that they are going to be able to get that first fort, like you mentioned, to help catch them back up in experience. Also, Soldier applying a bit of pressure in the bottom lane as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this idea of just, like, kind of trying to out-push, because when it comes down to it, that's how you end the game. Now, if they're able to get those ganks, great, but 10 is really when Temple Storm is going to start to shine, and there it is. They get it first. Arthlon, though, the heals come through. The chase in from Olaf almost enough to apply that kill, and he's going to be forced to tap the well. Arthlon very squishy on that Nova, but look at that aggression in the bottom lane. Even with those giants, they've taken out all the structures, and but Baylog ends up getting picked off.
Yeah, they pick up another set of coins too. These pickups are really nice. But man, I just looked over the coin count. 18 coins still available for Cloud9 Maelstrom.
So many, and if they do get picked off, well, they lose that advantage. They have not yet turned in a single coin in this game.
Yeah.
But just structurally, one more siege, that's going to be the top fort going down. The bottom fort, it's actually about to fall. There is not a mule on the side of Cloud9 or Temple Storm in this game, and I believe we just saw a big stage dive going on in. They're looking for that kill on Cameron Pro, but Glaurung is kind of out of position. Dreadnought is here to try to keep him alive. The Dwarf Toss going forward. Stormbolt is not available at this point in time, and Jaina does fall in the backside of things. It looks like Illidan came down from below, eliminating Jaina. Huge plays happening across the map.
I was going to say, if we didn't see that rotation from King Caffeine, that might signify the pressure of stealing the offensive Giants, but no, they are quite aware that that is the play that makes the most sense for Temple Storm to capitalize on these couple sets of early kills. Still, though, kill count 5-2. Can't stress enough that Cloud9 Maelstrom is still very much in control of things in this map, but especially the coin count too.
And the Vikings are soaking, so you'd think that Temple Storm, they're getting all this structural damage done. They just sniped. I mean, Nova to eliminate those Vikings. That makes it so much more risky to do this. It's a really nice option to have, but that soak has still been a problem and will continue to be a problem. But if Nova can get a handle on the Vikings like that, picking off Eric,
it's a very big point to bring up. The Viking players, especially when they have the set of Vikings split up across multiple lanes, they rely so much on paying attention to the mini-map to see those hero portraits. Nova's never visible until she gets decloaked. So you can be watching the mini-map, not see anything, and then all of a sudden your Viking's dead. It's like, oh, okay, Nova. It makes a lot of sense from that perspective as to why they grabbed Nova.
All right, Stormbolt was whiffed. That's going to signal a lot of aggression of Temple Storm. The grenade is juked by the jump of the Vikings. Nicely done. It's 5 seconds until stage dive is available. Sometimes we see ETCs using that in battle just to give themselves those invulnerability frames for a short while. But how do they approach this fight? They have the Divine Shield. They have the Laser Drill.
The clone is thrown out. Arthlon just applying a bit of pressure, perhaps hoping to force out some of the skill shots from the enemy team, and just a lot of posturing between the two teams.
And just like the stall, they want to prevent them from taking those points, and there is that stage dive. Precision Strike going in, but it hits nothing. Going in with this Illidan in the front line, the heals coming off, and Divine Shield still going to be available. Dunk Train seems to be the target. Metamorphosis chasing away those Vikings, and Soldier is going to be able to capitalize on their lives. Longboat Raid not going to be available. 1 down, 2 down. That is a Viking sandwich.
You say Longboat Raid not available. It's if you just blinked for a second, you saw that they had the Longboat Raid up, and it got immediately eliminated in that fight. And they need to get a ton of value out of that heroic for the AoE, and the chase is absolutely real for Cloud9 Maelstrom.
But Dreadnought coming up from below, turning this fight. Illidan dashing forward, and if they can pick up yet another kill, this would be massive for them. The grenade dealing 5 damage. Look at all these coins. If they lose any of them, it can just spell a disaster. But Glaurung, one more hit will do it.
And that is going to signify the full retreat for Tempo Storm, and this is the opportunity for Cloud9 Maelstrom to turn in some of their 19 coins as their first turn in. Have they done enough damage to the first set of forts? Yes, there's chests available still on the top side. They are going to get themselves the first fort. This will get them to lead to level 13, and we'll be paying attention to which of those talents they grab to give them the edge in these fights.
But Tempo, they're sitting on those 12 coins. This will give them 14. That will allow them to get another turn in, which will eliminate the final fort on the side of Cloud9. So at this point in time, it's all very close. The turn-in is going to be a big point of contention for the rest of the game, really.
For sure. Okay, let's take a look at some of those level 13 talents. We have Thunderstrike, which is feeding into the rest of those Thunderclap abilities. Sprint for Jaina, just to make sure that she has survivability, along with Brightwing. But keep in mind, she has Emerald Wind. She also has Cleanse. So the Sprint, you can dash behind the enemy lines to really try to force some bad positioning. Yeah, Dreadnought getting caught a little bit out of position. Is going to have to try to make use of all of his healing tools and talents and stuns to get himself out.
Yeah, he dodged the Stormbolt, and that's going to allow him to live.
That was big.
And they're moving on, and Nova is a little bit out of position. It's going to take her a little while to get to the battle, but they're just buying time, stalling this fight out. Heroics, everything available on both sides. Levels 13 to 13. Both teams have those 13 kills, and this Precision Strike getting a little bit more damage done. Glaurung gets hit with the Polymorph. The Longbolt Raid going in is doing far more damage than last time, but so is that Laser Drill. Both teams have that siege damage going in, and they are just respecting each other by backing on up, finding safety.
It seems as though Maelstrom was able to get a little bit more raw damage in the middle of that fight. Considering that we only have the one healer available for both teams, that's actually going to be a big deal. Glaurung finding himself quite low. iDream on the Vikings, not going to be able to secure that kill into Glaurung, and Soldier getting those auto attacks. The Metamorphosis hitting probably at least 5 people. That's going to be so much sustain for Soldier moving forward in this fight, and if they get this kill onto Biceps, that's 10 coins that they cannot afford to give up.
Yes, and they're gonna get it. The body blocks are real. Just getting away from Illidan is so hard. And look at that coin count. Only 4 more are needed. 2 going in from KO right now. That will eliminate the final fort and then some. We can see the other members of Tempo Storm. They're making their way to the boss, but Cloud9, they probably suspect this.
Yeah, and that's going to be another turn in for Tempo Storm. That fight right there was absolutely the swing that they needed to try to get back into this game. The coin count is just, it's so heavily in favor of Tempo Storm right now, and they just turned in coins too.
Right, and like you said, they just turned in, I don't know how many exactly, but they still have 19. That is another turn in available. If this boss is pushing on the top lane, that's a distraction that will allow them to get another free turn in. 21 coins on the board to the only 10 of Cloud9. Everything is looking so good for Tempo Storm at this point in the game.
Right, and yeah, got to point out again that distraction tactic. If you're going to do anything to buy yourself just a couple seconds to get those 21 coins turned in, it's just a big deal. So we can probably see a bunch of members of Tempo Storm, especially Soldier, who's holding the majority of those coins, to rotate to that turn in because he knows that Maelstrom will be distracted. But what's this? Are they backing up? They know that they need to stop this if possible. I don't think they can get there in time.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be here to stall. Buying time with the Nova clone, and that's 18 coins being turned in.
Wow.
I mean, just back-to-back immediate turn-ins. That will net them the first keep of the game.
And they already have half the coins they need for the next turn-in. And that will almost be 3 turn-ins back-to-back.
And this is just opening up the doors to get more coins because these lanes are already pushed out. Yes, the mercenaries, the boss has been cleaned up so they can finally start to push out a bit. But look at this. They're grabbing bruisers. Yet another distraction. 2 more coins on the board for them. Pirates available in the bottom half of the map, and Tempo Storm, they're moving in for them.
Yeah, you guys want to know the most effective way to play this map? They're really showcasing it right here. They've already done so much structure damage on their own. They're pushing out for the top and bottom forts. This saves the efficiency for the cannon strikes with each of these coins, and like just them doing damage to this wall and backing up. Again, that's going to save more damage for each of those cannon shots.
And they just apply the pressure. They force the positioning on Maelstrom, and they're just backing up, picking up more pirates. Let's take a quick look at the level 16 talents that we do have here on Tempo Storm. Benediction becoming the common pick with Drake Ray. This seems to be a pretty ironed out build for the late game, at least for the style that we see on Dreadnought, but the earlier options seem to be contested a bit more.
Yeah, I think Benediction it's probably going to become the mainstay, like you said. Hard and focus maybe sometimes, and if there's the need for the imposing presence to deal with some auto attack dealers, that will be another pick that's grabbed. We do see the imposing presence for ETC, and once again, it's the full clone build. And whether we see that Bolt of the Storm at level 20 or the Rewind is going to just be down to how comfortable are they feeling, how much control do they have over those team fights. Stone Skin and Blood for Blood picked up for Illidan and Tychus, just more survivability for those heroes in the midst of those team fights.
Now, Brightwing did apply a lot of pressure in that top lane, now phase shifting into battle, but those bruisers are pushing in, so we do have Glowering on ATC rotating up to clean up the top wave to protect that fort, because again, forts soak up those cannon shots.
Yes.
You want to protect your back keeps in this map, and he can stage dive into battle once he finds the need to be there. But look at this, the clone just buying out the aggression from the Vikings, and there is the stage dive. King Caffeine is the target. One stun coming up from Dreadnought. The Dwarf Toss is there, and the Persistent Strike will actually be whiffed, but this is buying time. They only need to turn those 3 coins, but they need to save KO. Illidan dashing forward, chasing back K1 Pro, trying to get that quick kill, and this Emerald Wind is separating Soldier so far from their team, so Cloud9 picks up a nice quick kill.
That's how you deal with Illidan. You isolate him from the rest of the team, throw that polymorph on, get the Emerald Wind to just keep him away from the rest of the team to follow up. He can't get healed in those scenarios. You also have the Blood for Bloods, the Imposing Presence. All of these things are going to slow Illidan down, and that's going to net them a very solid team fight. Just having Illidan out of the picture is really the kingpin, or the key piece to their team fights.
And getting that turn in, I mean, that's going to help them out a lot. The top fort, it's going down. The bottom fort, it's going down. That's going to put them in a pretty even position here in this game.
Yep, just structurally though, having that keep down in the middle lane, Tempo Storm is going to have those catapults pushing in, and it's just going to be constant pressure that is applied to that middle lane that Cloud9 Maelstrom needs to think about.
Right, but Tempo Storm's 3 coins away from another turn.
They are.
Next turn in, what do we get from that? Well, we get another keep. And at that point, when you have 2 keeps, you get to the position where if you can take a team fight, you can end the game.
Yeah, absolutely. They will have so much more pressure applied on the map. All right, what does Maelstrom really need to do? They just picked up that kill, and that was honestly a big deal. They were able to turn in off of that, get themselves, even footing just about structurally. They do still are missing that keep, but to catch up on those forts, gets them a nice bit of experience. They're caught back up. They need to take more fights like that where they really can isolate Illidan and make sure that they shut down his presence in those fights.
Now, Nova is making her way back. I agree with everything what you just said in terms of just the way they need to respond in this match, and they're doing just that right now. They have all their heroics available. They're ready to fight even footing, and they're denying the turn-in. If they can isolate Illidan once again, they're going to be sitting in a great spot, because that's what happened at the start of the previous fight, and they've bullied them back. They're getting some coins turned in, and they're forcing Glowering forward. He does manage to stop the turn-in, so only 4 coins going in at this point in time.
Also, another thing to keep in mind, of course, is the gathering power on Arthur. He is sitting at 5 stacks right now, and that's going to be some very hefty damage being thrown from the lethal clone and the extra clones that are being thrown out for that level 16 talent. If we see that rewind, that's so much extra AoE. I'm going to call it AoE because it's 5 Novas firing snipes off.
Yeah, it's true though. It's such a huge thing. And looking at the levels, Brightwing's soaking in the top lane right now, using the global presence that's keeping not only Maelstrom in the game, but they've actually taken a very slight experience advantage.
Yeah, and these are the types of plays that they need to make use of, because Glaurung, of course, on ETC has the capability to do this as well, but is opting not to. They're just having more of that instantaneous presence. He does have stage dive off cooldown, so honestly surprises me to see that they're not making that kind of play. But still, they bought themselves enough time positionally to really take and turn those 3 coins in that we mentioned.
And that's a keep. That's the top keep. You're going down. Bottom keep, they've already exposed some of the damage with that one tower. So another turn in will put them back down just to their final core, and they're actually rotating up to the boss.
Yeah, that's again, it's never something that they're pushing in hard with, but they know that they can take the boss and then put pressure on the map elsewhere, and that's really the name of the game on Blackheart's Bay.
Now, I don't know if Maelstrom's going to contest this, because I think they're going to get there a little bit too late, but they do have enough for a full turn-in. So if they just turn around and go to Blackheart, they actually have a full turn-in. And look at this preemptive laser drill. They're just putting it down for zoning capability. Now, one of the Vikings already falling. King Caffeine looking in, but the boss has been collected. Soldier already at half health. In the burst, coming onto the Nova player, removing her immediately. The Water Elemental Summon actually took out half the health bar, but I love this laser drill. It's just going to town.
But the chase is on for Cloud9 Maelstrom. The Shrink Ray being thrown onto the Lightning Bolt, but he's popping the Divine Storm. I don't think that's going to be enough to keep him alive. Of course, he doesn't have the level 20. No res is going to be available, and he's not close enough to any of his teammates, nor are they low enough in HP to justify having this Ghost here. So that's just going to be a straight win for Cloud9 Maelstrom. They're going to take 2-0, only losing one of the Vikings.
You might be asking, why did he step in to throw the grenade? It looked a little bit risky. It's because this boss is on their core, buying that time. But Maelstrom, they're going to be the first ones to hit 20. I mean, yes, structurally they're down, but in terms of levels, they're looking good. But more coins being turned in right now from Tempo Storm. They're just taking advantage of the aggression they have out of that golem, forcing Cloud9 back into the base, and they're just going to continue getting more mercenary aggression.
Yeah, they are going to get the core down to something probably like 69, 70%. Yeah, but they'll take it. This is actually enough if they turn in twice more for sure to finish the game. So the name of the game, like you were mentioning right now, is to just continue to avoid team fighting, especially until they hit level 20. And just keep collecting the coins so that if they get them, they're already at the point where they need 4 more.
Yeah, it's actually insane. And guess how many coins they're sitting on? Wait for it. They're sitting on 4 coins.
There you go.
5 coins.
All right, so the level 20. Let's talk about some of those towns. We do have Rewind for that critterized polymorph. Rewind also on Muradin so that he can get extra stun out, especially with that piercing bolt to hit 2 targets. Bolt of the Storm for Vala and Jaina for that survivability, and the extra range on the mortar and the 2 targets for the AoE on Longboat Raid.
Look at this. Cloud9 wants to get aggressive, but there's this massive Merc push which is going to destroy the bottom keep.
This is huge.
Tempo is well aware of this, and they're just going and getting more mercenary camps. They're avoiding Maelstrom. They're not giving them the satisfaction of a team fight, and they're just rotating around the map, collecting those coins. That's the PvE style that can just flat out win games here, and they've only need to turn in those 4 coins.
Yeah, that's it. That'll be the end of the game. They did enough damage with this mercenary camp pressure. The core is down to 70%. I think that the full turn-in on a core will bring it down to about 20% HP from full shields. Of course, it is at full shields. Actually, no, this Merc camp pressure is bringing it down. They have 2 sets of catapults.
Oh my goodness!
Precision strike.
They're forcing the hand of Maelstrom back to the space to defend here.
I think that might actually be it. There's just the rotation didn't get there fast enough. They have 5 sets of catapults firing onto the core. They're not going to be able to defend in time.
Yeah.
Game number 1 is going to go to Tempo Storm.
Wow, just a clean PvE style map. I mean, Blackhearts, that can happen. We talk about it once you have control of the map. If you just play safe, rotate accordingly, and control all of the mercenary camps, that's exactly what we saw, because for the last half of the game, Maelstrom was always in their base defending.
Yeah, some of those points were super scary, though. For Illidan. I remember that one point where Illidan had 18 coins. Like, if you're going to get a single kill,
the game can
just completely 180. And while they were able to, like, from a deficit, stockpile a ton of coins, which is really what allowed them to take this momentum. They take 1 team fight, continuously keep turning in. They got, like, what, 3 turn-ins in a row before Maelstrom was able to put a stop to that. But they really showed that they also have a very nice grip on how to handle and play out that map on Blackhearts, of course. And that, I think, is going to be the first loss for Cloud9 Maelstrom on Blackhearts Bay in the ESL playoffs and group stage.
All right, guys, but on that note, we're going to get ready for Game 2. It's a best-of-5 series, and Tempo takes that 1 win. So we're going to just keep plowing through game after game. Stay with us. Back in just a few. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the ESL Major League Americas. I'm Solid Jake, joined by the Kubi.
That's right. And we're going into game number 2 of the first set, potentially, of grand finals between Cloud9 Maelstrom and Tempo Storm.
Man.
Haunted Minds.
Tempo Storm, making plays.
They really were. Showing that they had the power to beat Cloud9 Maelstrom on their undefeated map thus far. They looked pretty solid doing it. They fell behind in the early game. You saw the power, like that grip that Cloud9 Maelstrom has shown us in the past, throughout these past couple days on Blackheart's Bay.
Yes.
There we go. And it just kind of looked like it was going to be another one of those games. But we saw a couple of very convincing team fights, and really it came down to clutch steals on the coin and just holding on to them, and just Illidan, being played by Soldier, at one point holding 18 coins, was able to find themselves the opportunity through rotating on the map, taking presence with all the map objectives to find themselves time to turn those in, and just continuing to push, and it seems kind of like almost lame at some point, or it's like, oh, okay, they're just going to PvE, but play to win. You got to play to win on this map. There's no messing around here.
There's $1,000 in difference when it comes to the pricing. This is, in fact, the largest price we've seen in this game.
Yeah.
And for a game that's in beta, $4,200 prize event,
yeah,
that's massive.
That is huge. Okay, so I would have given a little bit more implications about what this map means if it wasn't for the previous series that we saw where Tempo Storm was up against Cloud9 Maelstrom. They also showed Tempo Storm that they were well aware of how to play on this map. They have had some bad luck on it in the past, but they kind of broke that streak in the previous series. They took Game 4, brought it to Game 5 in Winners Finals, and Jake's trying to take a sip of his coffee, and he's just like flabbergasted by this Diablo ban. But it's about time. It really is about time
to see Diablo being banned.
Yeah.
The effect, I was shocked we didn't see him banned in the last series because of how effective he's been, but Tempo Storm was forced to ban that Zeratul because of how formidable Zeratul is on 2-arc. But here, they are banning out that Diablo, and on a map like this, warranted.
Crazy.
Warranted.
And they spent some time thinking about it. I can see that their bonus pool has been dipped into quite heavily, almost or more than half of it being thrown away, and they're really trying to decide, all right.
Is it going to be Kerrigan? No, Illidan. I was thinking it could be Kerrigan because the playing field is a bit different on Haunted Minds.
Yeah, it really
that's the beauty of Heroes of the Storm.
Lost Vikings? They banned them out last time.
Oh my goodness.
Lost Viking pickup? That'd be crazy. I want to see Lost Vikings played on this map so bad.
They're going to be first picked. I would be shocked if they're not first picked. We have never actually seen a mind games where Vikings are not banned out.
We've heard tales of the Lost Vikings
Oh
on
my
this
goodness.
map.
Ah, da, 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 da. Something like that.
Yeah, really, and I want to see it. I want to see how much of a swing it gives whichever team grabs it. Maybe these teams are also well versed in how to deal with it as well. We don't know. It's gonna be a learning experience for us, and we'll take you through it, guys. But
They will be picked in this game. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if they were not, but Vala is a very safe first pick. She provides that lane clear. She provides that aggression.
Sure,
but
yeah.
just something I want to point out to anyone that has never watched competitive Heroes of the Storm, the map diversity really changes the tier list of heroes for each map. In Haunted Mines, it's a smaller, very short game length map, which makes hyper aggressive play terrifyingly strong.
yep.
So
I think actually didn't the last game on Mines went 10 minutes?
It was 10 minutes in
Incredibly short.
like 30
it's
seconds.
so dominant from Tempo
Right.
Storm.
So you compare that to the PvE style of Blackhearts versus this, which is just Team Fight City.
Let me actually take a look at what the composition was for Tempo Storm. They had Illidan, Uther, Vala, Zagara, Diablo. So
Push
first of all,
potential.
seeing that, yes, there was quite a bit of push potential, especially with that Zagara, the Illidan, and it wasn't even so much their composition. They just I saw them lose a team fight, 2 kills, if I remember correctly,
Yep.
very quickly. Went to Cloud9 Maelstrom, and then they took a quick fight back, and then from there on, it was just a clean sweep for the rest of the map.
Well, Jaina has been picked up as the first hero for Tempo Storm. Not a surprise whatsoever, considering how much of an impact this hero has on the fights, the damage output, the push potential, everything. Wave clear, we talk about that as being a big variable when it comes to Haunted Mines.
Yep, ETC potential. Do they want to try to lock in their healer? They've been really enjoying the Uther play, having great success with that. There's a whole bunch of options in terms of how they want to cater and mold the rest of this draft.
I prefer Rhaegar on this map for Feral Heart. Because when it comes to mines, it comes to these very early engagements. When you go into the mines, there are the Vikings. They are getting picked up very
Second
early.
pick? Yes.
That's so rare.
Yes.
But the point I was going to make about Rhaegar is having Feral Heart, especially in these fights that happen in the mines, it gives them that mana retention early game that other heroes don't get. Conjurer's Pursuit is great, but it's something that scales throughout the game, giving you mana retention in the late game. Feral Heart, its effectiveness is activated
Immediate.
as soon as you pick it
Level
up at
4.
level 4. Yep.
Another nice thing about the Lost Vikings pick so early in this composition, it kind of really helps to mitigate Stitches.
It
We
does.
saw the Stitches ban
And there's
in the
their
last series.
response to that,
ETC Uther.
And this allows Tempo Storm to likely grab that Rhaegar. Chain Heal functions better with the Vikings anyways because they have smaller health pools. Ancestral is a massive playmaker, and it just makes so much sense to pick up Rhaegar here.
But who is the tank pickup going to be? I don't see
I see it'll be Muradin.
Muradin. Yeah, just doesn't really seem to have the effectiveness. He seems to be tailored a lot to dealing with Illidan. And
Yeah.
it's oftentimes just a strict counter pick when the hero pool for the warriors is a bit limited.
But Dwarf Toss is still really good on this map.
And I'm not saying that Muradin isn't useless, but he's not necessarily going to shine against any of the heroes, at least what's available for Maelstrom.
I think they'll probably leave their tank for last. I would expect something like Rhaegar Tassadar for this next pickup.
They know they've already got the huge soak advantage with Lost Vikings. It really, what they should try to do to tailor the rest of this composition is just safe picks.
Well, that's
They don't
something
need to do anything crazy.
we should point out why the Vikings are so impactful on this
Yeah.
map.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's, you have the option to soak bottom and top lane while everyone is in the mines collecting skills, or if you're feeling like you guys have that advantage, you can send the Vikings, split them out, set them up in positions around 3 camps, and just pop a spin and win and have them power through
And that immediately clears the camp.
the push potential. It doesn't
Yeah.
immediately clear the camp, but it's a good start.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So between, Balog has that AoE, Olaf has huge damage, and Eric, you have to micro a little bit more to kite around.
Yeah.
But it's still, you can definitely
It clears them
pick up-
fast, and
Yes,
that's really what it's
does.
about. It gets the clear fast, so you can get them out of there.
And even if you
faster.
sacrifice 1 or 2 Vikings, they have the reduced cooldown on their death timer, and you get very little experience for their deaths. So the sacrifice or the risk of collecting skulls is well worth it. But Zagara, I mean, this
Zagara's
is so
another
much push
implication.
power.
A lot of push power, also lane clear, but they could choose to leave Jaina on that bottom lane if they wanted to get that safe lane clear. And the amount of push power, the soak, that the tower shots for Zagara, basically the name of the game on Haunted Mines, if you guys haven't seen it before, is usually a 4-1 split. There's a 2-lane map, and the golem will push down one of 2 adjacent opposite lanes for each team. Right, so more often than not, the teams will opt to put very heavy aggression in the one lane that their golem is going to push down, so they can give it "quote unquote" a head start. And with Jaina, you usually want to have one solid lane clear. That's the one person that gets left behind in the other lane to just try to, mitigate the pressure as much as possible. Very likely to see Vala in that position, and Jaina, it might be the person, but and then you're going to see just super heavy aggression, and they're just going to keep an eye on those rotations from the other team. But I mean, really, Zagara, I just can't stress enough with those roaches.
Yeah, but
Tyrande.
yeah, Tyrande
Paired up with ETC, a rare mix.
It is, and they're gonna pick up Kerrigan. I mentioned her as a possible ban for Tempo Storm. They went with Illidan. Kerrigan provides an aggressive, very aggressive style, and let's look at this composition. ETC, he's got 2 disruptions, 2 stuns. Uther, he's got stuns, he's got Divine Storm. Tyrande, she's got Hunter's Mark and a stun. Kerrigan, she has a stun and a pull in. You put all of them together, and they just delete your heroes.
Yes. Okay, I really like this pickup of for Kerrigan for this last pick. They don't. Well, no, actually, I was gonna say they don't have the healing potential. No, they do, especially with Tyrande getting those buffed heals. So we have the Rhaegar pick, but what is the safest thing that they can go for warrior-wise? Maybe perhaps with the most mobility, it might be Muradin. Now that you mention it,
Dude,
he's just the safest play.
He's the safest play. Do you place safe? I think you have to, I guess. I was gonna say something crazy like Sonya. And they go even crazier with Tyrael.
He's also pretty safe. Okay. This is the first time I've seen them play
Glowering
Tyrael.
actually just left the lobby.
It's like, I can't believe they're making me play Tyrael.
All right, he's back. He's back in the lobby. That's going to be the rosters for Game 2 on Haunted Mines. And guys, we want to point out something crazy. In each series, there's one map ban. The map that is banned in the series is Dragonshire.
It's Dragonshire.
Dragonshire, a very common map.
Yeah. That and Cursed Hollow are honestly the two
Common,
like, quote-unquote neutral-ish maps.
Yes. Wow. Man, Kubi.
I like that Lost Viking skin.
I like that we can see different rosters on our
It's nice.
on our monitors.
It's very nice. We got that Kerrigan mask skin. Of course, the viewers can't see any of this.
I can show them that.
Ooh, look at that. That is very nice. All right. Let's, do we have the good to go? I'll send that to you.
Yes, go ahead. Give them the go-ahead here for our match. Game 2, Tempo Storm is up 1-0 in a best-of-5 series. The way this tournament works, Maelstrom won the winners' finals. Tempo Storm needs to win this best-of-5 to reset the bracket. That means we could be going into the wee hours of the morning at that point. It's not even night anymore. So,
another thing I want to point out. Okay, Tempo Storm knows what's ahead of them. All right, if they're going to win this tournament.
Yeah.
They know that they need to take 2 sets off of Maelstrom, and they're planning this out. Okay, how am I feeling? Mental stamina, all of this, making sure that we're all set.
We know that
they've accepted the fact that they're going till 6 a.m., whatever that be, if they want to win this tournament. All right. Maelstrom, they've got it in their head. Maybe they're, who knows? They could already be tired, etc. And at that point, they're thinking, okay, we just win 3 games, we're done with this tournament. But the longer things get dragged out, they get frustrated. It has effects on the morale. So just pay attention to that as this series potentially gets dragged out the longer and longer.
I mean, esports in general, there's physical endurance required, but it's a very mental thing. All of these games are mental endurance is a huge factor, especially in a team-based game. But Kubus Maximus, let us introduce our teams.
For sure. On the blue side, for Tempo Storm, we have Dreadnought on Rhaegar. Arthon's going to be playing the Lost Vikings. KO on Zagara. Soldier's going to be playing Jaina. And Glaurung on the rare pick for Tempo Storm, it's Tyrael.
This is going to be a rare treat seeing that Tyrael played by Glaurung, but on the other side of the map, we do have Cloud9 Maelstrom with Dunk Train on Tyrande, iDream playing Kerrigan, K1 Pro on Vala, Biceps on Uther, and King Caffeine on the cow himself, Mr. Elite Tauren Chieftain, also known as ETC.
I actually want to get back to that point a little bit about the endurance. This game hasn't really seen any big lands. I guess the closest exception you could say is BlizzCon, or like in-person lands. Some of those tournaments can really get dragged out, and these teams, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
they're going to be staples of the community for a long time to come, and this type of practice, just the endurance for both of these teams, is going to be so important moving forward.
Look at this aggression. They're just wait in party bush in the middle of the map, trying to turn, but they whiff. that blast, but King Caffeine, he is taking the brunt of those blizzard shots, but Kerrigan goes in, the Hunter's Mark coming down, Jaina gets blown up very quickly in this game. We talked about aggression, that's only the beginning.
Yes, I think that that is going to be something that Tempo Storm's really going to have to pay attention to throughout this game. I said this the last time we were casting this particular map. The experience lead, getting to level 4 so that you can win that first mines fight and take an advantage to snowball the rest of this map forward is so important. And I really like the fact that Maelstrom opted to go for an aggressive style to counteract this Lost Vikings. So if Tempo Storm can hold on long enough to get advantage of that soak, they're going to put themselves in a really nice spot. If Cloud9 Maelstrom can get enough kills early on to get a sizable advantage level-wise to hit that early talent lead, they're going to be in a great spot.
Look at that talent.
Yes,
protection in death. When the Archangel's Wrath explodes, shield nearby allies for 50% of their max health. This is a suicidal Glaurung. He is going to be dying, and he's aware of it, but his death will allow his team to continue fighting longer.
Not only damage output, but also shields. If we find that those heroes are clumped up for either side, could have some big implications.
Very interesting, very uncommon talent, but again, there's a lot of very specific things that just suit this map in the short game length that we see as a result.
All right, continue to pay attention to iDream. He's going to be the one who makes the call to dive in on any particular hero. King Caffeine also setting himself up, and the mines are open.
And that is a mistake they're not going to make. You can see Cloud9 patiently waiting in the mines. They have vision of this, the exact vision we see, and Glaurung going in will be greeted by an Impale.
The Impaling Blades got thrown down. That's the longest cooldown for Kerrigan. It's another 5 seconds before she can even execute that combo. I think that might be time to signify for them to go in, but they greeted with a Lunar Flare. Dunk Train was not baited out by the first shot, and actually Glaurung is going to try to pull some of the members of Cloud9 Maelstrom away.
But they're not buying it, and right now it's just kind of like this protect the door. King Caffeine has been hanging around. Kerrigan is chasing Glaurung, but during all of this, the Vikings have slowly entered the top part of the mines. We have Balog. He's the one that has the AoE. He's trying to get some wave, but trying to help out. They're retreating. Only 8 of the skulls were actually picked up during all of that, and they're just opting to get rather aggressive against this wall.
Yeah, they're opting to take, but we've seen this in the past where Tempo Storm has opted to skip the mines in favor of doing aggression on their lane, and it really didn't end well for them. Granted, it did involve Asmodin, where once you pick those push talents and Glaurung actually getting caught a little bit further out of position, it doesn't quite have the shield to keep himself alive.
Protection in death.
Yeah.
Doesn't go off.
Yeah.
But we do. That was actually on the last patch. Having a bigger
too.
golem on this is a little bit less impactful. It changed the way this map works a little bit. I actually haven't seen a massive golem at the early game in this patch because the patch is days old. KO getting very low. They should trade out iDream. No, the heal's coming out the last second. That's going to be 2 for 1, but one of those kills, of course, was a Viking. Or 2 for none, excuse me.
Actually, iDream getting the reset on his Ravage provided just enough shielding for him to Ravage again, of course, to keep himself alive. Really tight play for Kerrigan there, just to make sure that he didn't end up dying, and they get themselves, they have a sizable kill lead at this point.
But the Vikings,
surprisingly, the level advantage.
Yeah, they've been providing that soak constantly. They're pushing in on both lanes. Golem will push down this bottom lane. Towers have already been removed. Look at the towers of Tempo Storm, perfectly healthy. Now, yes, the Golem is going to be a lot larger for Maelstrom, but one way to deal with that is just having superior push in the lane, and Vikings are really helping.
So let's take a look at what's going to happen at level 10, because at this rate, with Tyrael dying, that's kind of a big deal. Is he not? He's able to pick up skills? No, he didn't.
No, that would actually be
that'd
so
be crazy.
That would be so
all right, so it's very likely that at this rate, Tempo Storm will find themselves at level 10 ahead of time. Oh no, and Dreadnought is for sure going to fall. Oh no, there's no Kerrigan nearby, so it's going to require a nice skill shot from Dunk Train.
Oh my goodness.
Juking. And the Lunar Flare missed, but that's actually going to be it. Yeah.
Dead. But just a misplay by Dread, overstaying his welcome. He might have been expecting the enemy team to be hearthing out. Yeah. But since they walked out, they were able to pick him off in that situation. And I think they will do the norm. Wait. No, they're not even going to wait. They're just going to let those guys go up. They know they've already done the damage to this wall, and those they'll do pretty well to just push on in. I don't think they're as worried about the defense, it seems.
I find that to be kind of an odd play. I guess they're just going to try to push really hard with this, but the golems are going to die early. This doesn't really. I can't imagine a reason that they would want to wait.
Now, what we're
or
getting
not
at
wait.
is typically you cap your siege giants so that they defensively stay behind the wall and maximize their power. And, well, iDream's just going to blow them up. Maybe they assume that iDream would just primal grass them over this ledge right here, which is possible, so they don't even wait.
Yeah, that's a riskier play, though, but why not even force him to use his combo to do that? I can't say that I have a good reason for you guys as to why that happened. And actually, the pull in with the Lunar Flare underneath this Golem is going to do some work. And it's just Temple Storm hasn't even picked up a kill yet.
Yeah,
in this game.
But when it comes down to it, they're doing all right. The Golem is going to fall, but they've already powered through. There's no ammunition left on that fort, and this Golem is very low. No, Dread has just respawned. Death Timer is still very low this early in the game, and they're going to make their way back up to continue fighting this Grave Golem. So the fort does go down, but the Golem's health, a few more shots from this tower, it's going to fall.
Yeah, well, so the Golems, or the Giants, ended up pushing to defend. They didn't even need any heroes in the bottom lane to take out this 22 Skull Golem, so they're able to push hard and even picking up a nice kill on a couple set of the Vikings here. All right,
it's a big deal, actually.
So they took out half the health on this fort on the bottom side. The fort is already down above. This is, going to give them extra push to that level 10. It's just going to give them the better pacing moving forward. And on top of that, the Golem will be able to push further as Soldier is picked up by that combo, the aggressive style.
It's so decisive. I mean, every single time, it doesn't matter if you're in your base or not, Kerrigan is going to pull you in and kill you. The jump from the Vikings keeping Baylog alive in this situation, but level 10 has been reached. We see the Starfall being picked up, likely going to see the Maelstrom Divine Storm. Even the Mosh Pit could be picked up here. Oh, Divine Shield.
Divine Shield and Maelstrom we've seen do work.
Oh, that's true.
And of course the Starfall for Tyrande. I haven't seen Shadowstalk in a long time. It
No.
used to be a fun. That was like the talent to pick. Back
It's really
in the day,
fallen off.
Yeah, it really has.
Things have changed. But Stage Dive is going to be opted for, just giving them that global presence across the map. And Vikings just trying to get aggressive, but iDream is continuing to deny this. Look at all this aggression coming in. He just waits for that jump and then blows up both of them. And, I mean, yeah, it's not a lot of experience. Their death timers might be lower, but it's still, you're keeping the Vikings in check.
It hurts, and it's less presence on the map to get that soak that, they were really hoping to be in the lead. We were even sort of theory crafting it, like, okay, they're hoping to get to level 10 ahead, not be down so heavily in the structures, even perhaps try to catch that, the level 10 advantage, maybe even like right after this first set of golems goes through, but they're now behind. So this is absolutely not what they were expecting, or the position they were expecting to be in.
Yes, just safe rotation around the edge of that watchtower. They're going to be entering from the bottom, so this time they can actually go into the mines safely, and they have just reached level 10. This is about the best case scenario. Tyrande by herself in the bottom lane, but they're not going to quite catch her, and they don't want to dive in too quickly. Again, the power of those stuns, a single Primal Grass can pull in theory, the entire team. They're going to get the Vikings. Ancestral not connecting onto Soldier, and that is a dead Jaina very quickly. The Judgment used to blow up K1 Pro on both sides. We see kills. Vala going down. Glaurung staying alive the best he can. He will be using Aldruin's Might to juke nicely.
Still, though, they end up taking a 2-for-1 advantage. I got to give credit to iDream. He's really been pulling his weight with Kerrigan. It's been turning the team fights so heavily, and the follow-up is always there for the rest of his team.
But, I mean, Vikings, they're getting skulls. They're doing a good job. They can clean these up quickly. Dunk and Caffeine on the job. I mean, they're trying to chase. There goes one. There goes two. And Olaf, well, he will make a trio. But they got 36 skulls, and that's something. It's something on the table.
They don't need something, Jake. They need big skull count to try to get back in this game. All these kills are really, they're giving them just even more fodder to get to level 13.
It's true.
And this map, of all the maps, is the most snowbally, and they need to make a big play. And just throwing the Vikings into the mines to try to pick up a third of the skulls is just not the kinds of plays that we need to see Temple Storm making to try to come back in this game.
Yeah, you are correct with that. 36 to 64 is going to be the total count. We see the mercenary camps being picked up, which will help them get a bit of experience and alleviate a small amount of aggression for a short while. But again, the bigger golem, the advantage is there. The fort down. This fort still remaining, and they'll likely just blow up the golem.
This is tough. I'm thinking about how Temple Storm should really think about their team fights, what they should do to try to, I guess, eliminate a problem. And that would be, to me, it's Kerrigan. But if you have Uther nearby, she's not going to die with that Divine Shield. So, you know, you have to, I guess, judgment in, and then try to split your focus between two targets. It's a rough spot. I'll be honest with you.
It is. It is quite difficult, but the one thing they have going for them is the golem is going contested, and this wall is going to be eliminated in the top. But man, this back keep is looking like it's in trouble. Again, the Primal Grasp can fall in anything that steps within Kerrigan's reach, and she is going to look to do that time and time again because the follow-ups are there, and Hunter's Mark will blow up just about any hero in the game with the kind of progression they have available. But they do dodge the combo.
Yep,
Nicely done by Arthlon, and they're going to be able to defend this keep from at least the Golem, with the Ancestral connecting, the Maw going down, the Stomp in here, but the dash is going to go in. We see the Judgment onto K1 Pro. There's no follow-up. Promogras can eliminate all of the Vikings and Glaurung very decisively. The explosion from that depth going to hit only the allies, giving them that shielding, and I don't think they're going to be able to defend this. Tempostorm's Golem smacking on that wall will end up falling just to the towers and defenses that are set up, but this is
Divine
looking
Shield
bad.
still hadn't even been used in that fight. There was just never a need for it. And I gotta say, the Vikings, even if they don't quickly get the kill, just pulling them in with the combo gives Kerrigan so much shielding because she gets a portion of the damage dealt with her combos. And there is actually that Divine Shield keeping Kerrigan alive just to clean up the remaining members of Tempostorm. And I think they're coming to the realization that this game is going to be very, very difficult to make this comeback in. Crazier plays have happened on this map especially.
If the Longboat raid picked up like 2 kills there, I'd give Tempostorm a chance. But this keep, it's going down. A few more hits on it. I mean, Zagara's doing a decent job defending. Their Golem, that's the one thing they got going for them. It's still wailing away. It's got a full wave of minions here, and this keep is going to take a sizable amount of damage, and they've managed to defend their keep just barely. So all things considered, in terms of level, they're down 2. In terms of structures, it's really not that bad.
Yeah, actually, it's a good point, and they're slowly running out of ammunition for this. I think iDream has Hearth back, realizing this potential situation that could become a problem. If they do fall behind in that keep race, you're right, it's still very viable. I think with that keep still remaining up during all of this time, they either have to make an aggressive play to take this keep down, but still, just that little bit of HP is the difference between catapults and no catapults.
Yeah, I think the main problem is the fact that Tempostorm has only taken a single kill to the 17 kills of Cloud9. Yeah, their soak has been pretty good, but their team fights, well, not so much.
Yeah, and it just turns Kerrigan into a tank, having the extra amount of shielding with the Maelstrom. You know, that's every time that hits a hero, that's quite extra soak. And Glaurung actually getting caught out of position once again. The stun lock, yeah,
that's the power of this composition. They can eliminate the tank in just an instant.
No one's safe with that Hunter's Mark.
Oh my goodness. Dreadnought. And the Vikings making a ridiculously aggressive play. Now they will all end up dying. Dread is going to try to get through this wall. He's dead. I mean, successful, nicely done, but you're going to die.
Yeah.
And the Vikings, one is already down. They're just being obnoxious, buying time. Now the Viking death timer is not really that big. 30 seconds on Dreadnought. The mines are going to be up very soon.
I think they know, Jake. I think they know at this point that the comeback is it's going to be pretty difficult. I think that they have a very tall order in front of them. There's probably like a 95% chance that maybe more the Cloud9 Maelstrom is going to be able to take the advantage. And just look at the position on the map. They have the heads-up position going into the mines. They just need to take like a 50 skull golem with the advantage they have of the 16 with the talents. We just see them picking up. That's the double blood for blood, the benediction for that extra stun.
Are they doing it? They're doing it.
Yeah, they have to. It's really their only play.
They put creep all over the map. They took out that keep, and they are just beelining across the map. Now, Vikings are going to show. This might send some red flags. Yes, we see hearts coming out, and those flags have been rung. Glaurung showing in base. They're backing up. They're going back into the mines. They're trying to split their approach. They're trying to mess with Maelstrom's head, but they left a few members into these mines. Only 34 skulls have been picked up this time. Glaurung providing a nice distraction for 3 members here in the bottom of the map. And right now, Tempostorm, they're starting to pick up skulls. Like this is the biggest golem they're gonna have got in this game.
It's a cute play. I like the showing of going to the core to force them to back, because really that's the only way.
This collapse is huge. They're gonna get, oh my goodness, the Divine Shield on K1 Pro, providing that strafe, but the Longbow raid will pick up a kill. First blood on this fight going on the side of Tempo Storm, but the follow-up, there's a kill on each side. Biceps, just a heal coming at the last possible moment. He's staying alive. The explosion from Tyrael providing those shields. Do we have go, go, go? Yes. iDream looking very low right now. The water elemental, though, is peeling very well. Biceps in the backline throwing those heals out. It's only the Lost Vikings remaining. Do they have Norris Force? They just hit 16. They can pick it up if he's very savvy, and he picks it up, but it's a little bit too late, and there's still 3 members standing 26-44. They're going to go pick up the boss.
Yeah, you know, a 74 skull golem at this point in the game. Yes, there's the catapults pushing down the lane, but there's no one left to make this dive kind of play. Still, though, I gotta give props to Tempo Storm. Really was pretty sure that this game was all but in the bag, but they made some crazy jukes, and if they had won that fight, they might have actually been able to take this game.
If they had been 16, the game actually probably would have been theirs. That fight was
crazy.
so close.
It's crazy to think about because just given the nature of this map and how the objective works, it's super difficult to make these types of comebacks without massive mistakes coming out from the enemy team.
They're running. They know they have to get out of here. And they left one skull. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. If they can stall out this skull, the golem won't spawn. If the golem doesn't spawn,
that's a very good point.
Tempo Storm, was that intended? Tempo Storm won't cap it. There's no reason to cap it.
But there's it's giving more time for Tempo Storm to come back in this game. So I think it is still in the best interest for Maelstrom to make the play to go grab it, but still, the longer the golem waits, the stronger it gets.
It's true.
Which is, at an advantage golem, that's also in favor of Maelstrom. So as long as they're feeling comfortable and not throwing any of these team fights, it's still in their interest as well.
All right, well, Druin's might, the sword goes down, but not going to be used. They're just playing very safe right now. Again, the one skull sitting in the mines, and Kerrigan, it looks like she's just going to be rotating up to clear the wave. Tempo Storm, if they lose a team fight, they lose the game.
Absolutely, but if an ace happens at this point, of course, like with the golem being stalled out, they have to pay a lot of attention to these heroes who are rotating around. The lead from Archlon is going to keep the boat. Actually, is going to be what signifies the start.
Yeah, forcing that boat out is massive. They're going in, but that's a huge primary as the stage dive comes in, and the Maw follow-up gets nothing. The Ghost of Uther will be hanging around. Level 20 has not been reached, but look at Tempo Storm. They are just falling apart so quickly. They pick up 1 kill, but that's going to be about it. Dreadnought going to try to stall a little bit. He runs into the mines, and he's just going to be running away from Dunk Train, trying to stall him from getting that skull, but he's just sprinting to the skull because he knows it will end the game.
Maelstrom being as cautious as possible with this style play. They want to make sure they do not throw this pretty easy victory at this point, but there are some really small plays that could be, adding up all over the place that might net Tempo Storm a win. But I think at this point, especially with that golem being picked up and so many of the heroes being down, they're that much closer to level 20.
Yeah, it's going to be
this golem pushing in is all but impossible to defend against.
They're going to have the team alive, but look at Dread. He's still fighting Dunk Train in the mines. He's gonna trade out.
And he could have actually backed out in time, but that...
He had just used Feral Lens to deal damage, so he didn't have the wolf form to run away.
Point.
And very just picture perfect end for the 2 support players of these teams dueling in the bottom of the map. This should be game. Now, the Golems have less health than they used to. The Judgment going in, maybe it's too aggressive. iDream is getting actually blown up really hard, but with Biceps coming in at this last moment, he's going to be able to throw down the heals, and he does have the Divine Shield available.
Absolutely. And all this time, the Golem is wailing away at this core. So just keep an eye on the health of the other core.
Wait, the Golem got eaten by the Maw?
Yeah, that's a new change.
I forgot that was even a thing. Glaurung is going to be hit with that Shrink Ray by Uther. Just Eric sticking around for the Lost Vikings, but it's all looking like it's coming to an end very slowly. These final heroes, they're going to collapse. The core going down rather quickly at this point in time.
That's game number 2 going to Cloud9 Maelstrom in a bit of a drawn-out victory. They still clutched in the end. Kudos to Tempo Storm. They really thought, what is really the only way we can make this comeback? And it looked like, let's just dive onto the core. Well, that's the obvious play. Why don't we just show that we're diving to the core, Hearth back, use that opportunity to pick up a couple more skulls, and then when they were able to stall out with that 1 golem, they actually had a chance. Like, they needed to take a very difficult team fight, but it could happen.
Seriously, if 16 had been hit a little bit earlier, even just for the Vikings, and they had Norse Force, it would have allowed those Vikings to stay alive, and a spin to win off cooldown from all 3 Vikings, Who knows? There's so many small things that decision making from Tempestorm could have netted them that win.
Going back and looking at that one team fight, there'll be a lot of places to analyze some small decisions that could be changed, and who knows, to be able to pull a victory out of thin air, or it seems kind of like all hope is lost.
But all right, guys, on that note, we're just going to get ready for game number 3 to keep pushing through this incredible grand final series. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Listen to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the ESL Major League. Here we're going into Game 3. Garden of Terror, just hopping right
That's
on
right.
in, getting into the wee hours of the night, and Garden of Terror will be our map.
And not the final game of this series.
Yeah, that's
It has been all but one of these series played in this ESL, and a Major League playoffs has been on Garden of Terror.
keeping us on our feet, Kubi.
Really are. They really are.
Huge shout out to all of you guys watching this event live. We have broke the Heroes of the Storm viewership record here for the grand finals, and I can't think of a better situation. So all of you, thank you. You're awesome. And guys, Stitches is going to be banned out again.
Makes sense. I think it was smart of them not to ban it out on Haunted Mines, because they knew that the Lost Vikings were likely to be picked, at least for Temple Storm's side. Yeah, there could have been the potential for the first pick on Maelstrom, but they probably would have tailored the rest of the strategy around that. But Lost Vikings seem to be a very nice counter to Stitches, so this may point towards Temple Storm absolutely not going Lost Vikings. Still, they've had trouble with Stitches in the past. I like that they're banning it out. Makes sense. Cloud9, what is the follow-up ban? Do we see Illidan? Do we see Rhaegar or ETC?
Yeah, it's well, we'll see in just a little bit, guys. It looks like Cloud9, they're thinking hard. They're going into that bonus pool already. They want to make sure they ban out something that's going to be impactful. We've seen a lot of bans on Rhaegar in this event, and they might be confident in letting it slip through and go for something like Illidan instead.
Yeah, we'll have to see if before this patch, Illidan Rhaegar was like the death combo, right, for any of the teams to pick up. And if anything, I'd say comparatively, those two heroes have gotten better in this patch. But we're not seeing it really make or break games, which is it's crazy to think about. These teams just get so good at figuring out solutions to problems that are presented in the meta. Stitches Tyrande being one of them, although it's being banned out here, hasn't made the most impact except for Cloud9 Maelstrom. If only one team is able to run it now, that means that for the most part, all of the competitive teams have sort of figured out some kind of solution to it. Really cool to see that. Illidan Rhaegar not being so dominant to the point where it's like pretty much an instant win. That's also really cool to see. ETC is actually going to be the ban for the Cloud9 Maelstrom side.
Yeah,
Two tanks banned out.
Yeah, that's actually really crazy. It's the first time we've seen that happen in this entire tournament. In the bonus pool, going down to the last few seconds, Illidan will be picked up, and having both Uther and Rhaegar on the table, I can't say I'm surprised at all.
All right, Jaina, the quick scoop and Uther. Okay, but this leaves the option for Rhaegar. Do they want to go for that classic combo? I imagine they will.
Yeah, Rhaegar Illidan, it makes a lot of sense. Vala probably going to be the other pickup. They could go for Tassadar, but it just seems like a nice standard, options available for them. And if it ain't fixed, Kubi, don't broke it.
So they can opt to go for the Rhaegar here. I still like the idea of Cloud9 Maelstrom running Kerrigan again. That looks
We've
real
seen them
solid,
use it.
especially with Uther.
We definitely have seen on maps that are not Haunted Mines. They're the only team that are willing to run her on other maps like this. And it's within the realm of possibilities to see both Vikings and Kerrigan because they actually synergize well together. You can use that safety, the Q for the get out, and that's something that you would want on Kerrigan on a map like this. Having more flexibility in terms of your options to get out of situations that are poor.
Yeah, we actually saw that actually picked up in the last game, the Allied Ravage.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
It helps, especially to keep that safe. I mean, they were so far ahead, and especially when you have that Divine Shield plus Maelstrom hitting all of those targets, just such a crazy force to keep alive. But even just the two heroes together, Uther and Kerrigan, it looked like they were so on point with the Kerrigan play and the follow-up. So if Kerrigan and Tyrande are available to be grabbed for the next two picks, I think Cloud9 Maelstrom should be feeling confident enough to continue to run that, even on a larger map.
Yeah, well, with Vala being picked up, it's not a big surprise. I would be rather shocked to see Rhaegar given up here. We have seen teams snipe Rhaegar Uther in situations where they're available to, and in situations where Temple Storm's like, yeah, we could probably get away with not grabbing it here.
Nah, if they want Rhaegar, they should grab him now.
Yeah,
if they don't pick him now, then they're not looking to grab him at all. Or it's not necessary to their composition and how they want to build it.
We will find out very soon. They're just down to 45 seconds left in that bonus pool, and they do
There it
go
is.
for Rhaegar. So
I want to see it, Kerrigan. Kerrigan Tyrande. I'd love to see it. I think that's just, in my opinion, smart drafting based on how that last match went.
Yeah,
It looked incredibly
no. I
solid.
mean, I cannot argue with you. It's a terrifying amount of aggression that you have available, and it worked so well in that last game.
As long as they're feeling comfortable enough to run Muradin, which is likely, I think that Diablo's probably going to go the way of Tempo Storm if they choose to take that combo. We'll see.
Well, we're gonna find out very soon, guys. They are sitting here with those options on the table.
25 seconds, yeah.
It's. I mean, each team they're just spending the time to think. Now, Tassadar, it's a likely pickup. Tyrande, if they go for Kerrigan, it's a sure pickup.
It's also another thing that I want to point out, a bit off topic a little bit, but Tempo Storm used to be so known for drafting like immediately. Everything was just like, oh, it's our turn. When we know we're already picking these two heroes.
Not today.
Now, not even since like the last week. That
There they are.
well,
Vikings.
Lost
We
Vikings
talked
played
about
again.
We talked about them being very possible in this map, and Kerrigan makes sense with Vikings too. But I think this is the time that they're going to scoop up Diablo.
yeah, they're
Showing
not
Vikings-
going to go
yeah.
for Kerrigan. I think you probably need to lock in the Tyrande with it for it to make sense. So they could go for Tassadar and then scoop up Diablo. I think that they would love to get Tassadar Diablo. Obviously, they don't have the picks to do it right now, so they need to look at those two and say which one's more important for this composition. Which one can we afford to give up? Because likely the other will be taken for Tempo Storm. They got
Okay.
3 seconds. Okay.
Tyrande.
Okay.
I think that's actually a really big pickup.
What if they don't take a tank?
It's unlikely, but it's possible.
Kerrigan is pretty tanky that last game.
Uther tank, pretty tanky in all games.
Jake Watson is stop trying to make it a thing. It's not going to be a thing.
Kubi, I believe.
All right, maybe soon, but not today. Doesn't look like it's happening. All right, Diablo. I mean, well, for sure Diablo. It's got to be right. I guess they could snipe Muradin away. Okay, that makes sense. They could steal Muradin away if they don't want to deal with that imposing presence and reverberation for the Thunderclap picked up at level 1.
Interesting. Well, Tempo, they're down to those 30 seconds. Do they pick up Tassadar for the middle of the road pick to complement the Rhaegar? It gives them the... No, they do not. They do not. Nova will not be paired.
They've been picking Nova after Vikings. They've Tempo Storm feels strongly, I think, that at this point
And it works.
Nova is a counter to the Vikings.
And it works, but remember how aggressive they got with the tank and Jaina to just eliminate Vikings time and time again?
Yeah.
A single cone of cold will not only reveal, but lock her down, slowing her and just making her incredibly vulnerable.
It's got to be Diablo, right?
You would think so.
What do they not? It's more of what do they not want Cloud9 Maelstrom to have between those two heroes. Muradin would be annoying for Maelstrom to have on the Illidan side of things. Diablo probably just has a bit more utility overall in terms of locking up early kills, which, you know, aggression is now the name of the game for Tempo Storm with this Nova pick.
Yeah, no, that is very, very true at this point in time. They need to get aggressive and pick up those kills. And Precision Strike, of course, especially... Okay, so it is going to be Diablo, but Precision Strike...
I'm calling it right now. If it's Kerrigan, bag of flips. Do it. Bag of flips.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Bag of flips on this. I get one if you lose, right? That's how it works.
Oh,
You
no,
can't just get
no,
these
yo,
free
you're right. You're
opportunities.
right. That's not fair. That's not fair. Yeah, I'm not doing it.
You are the...
All right,
biggest
fine.
wuss.
You're gonna peer
Yeah.
pressure me into doing it. I'll do it.
Yes.
Bag of flips.
Getting flips in the morning. Gonna eat some pretzels. All right. Well, that was a
Jake
terrible
singing
song.
the pretzel song.
It's the
Nicely done.
We are officially approaching the 12th hour of this cast, ladies and gentlemen. This is when Jake starts singing.
Yeah, it gets real loopy, so just bear with him, guys. I'll try to keep him in check for you, so we don't get too far off the handle. It is going to be Tyrael. Kubi loses a bag of flips. Now, today
You're now in
I
a
started
deficit.
+1. I know.
You're in
I
a
was-
deficit.
Oh, it's the worst. This is the worst. All right. Well,
I'm 2-0 today. That's awesome. Man.
you give me one more chance to bet.
We'll see. We'll see.
Ah,
We'll see
come
if
on.
the opportunity comes up, Kubi. We're going to give the players the approval to go ahead with this game.
the approval. Like we have any control over whether or not they're going to play out these series. Are you kidding me, Jake? We're just so lucky to have being able to
You
watch
are
it and bring the magic to you guys.
Bring the magic, which is my hair, trying to fly away
It's just not
into
happening
the
today.
atmosphere.
After a certain amount of time, your hair just deflates and starts
Scooby.
doing some strange things.
Of these playoffs,
Yeah. Don't
you
ask
know
me
the
what my
number of-
favorite game's been. Okay, thank you. Oh
do
my
you
gosh.
know the number of games we have cast?
Total?
Math it.
Making me count. Making me count. All right, real quick, guys. It's 9 for the first day. 15, so that's 24. 26 so far. This will be a 27th game.
That's 2 Kings of the Storms.
That is 2
That
games
is
of Storm
2
in 2 days.
tournaments. That is 2 tournaments with 4 teams playing 2 tournaments worth of games. That is why best of 5s are incredible. The
you know
number
what?
of memorable matches that have just the influence on the meta that this event is going to have is insane.
Nothing against Kings of the Storm. It's just a matter of when they fell. These games, though, are just so much better. And it's just the timing.
players
It's
are
the
getting
timing
better.
in which they hit. You know, that's
but
really
it's
what it
also
comes down to.
it's
I
also
love
the
casting
skill level.
Kings, but
The
man.
skill level here is
Woo!
so high.
Yeah, and you can like I've said this before. You can feel the pressure between the teams that they're all just they're playing at top notch skill right now. I love it.
And
the
it's
best.
just going to keep getting better because as the game grows, the teams, the skill
Very
level, it
true.
all continues to raise higher and higher and higher. The teams, as soon as they are ready, they will commence this game. And guys, if you're just tuning in, here's a quick look at to what this bracket has looked like throughout the event. Complexity, they did finish in 4th place, losing to Cloud9 Maelstrom in the winners bracket, and then they fell to Turk Iliad this morning as the first game of the day.
Very close, 3-2. And if we look at Tempo Storm's run through it, they did take the advantage, putting 2 Arc Iliad into the losers bracket early, losing 3-2 to Cloud9 Maelstrom in a very, very close series as well. I mean, honestly, they've all been close series. It's just going to sound like a broken record at this point. They've all been incredible series. You guys got to go back and watch those if you didn't get a chance to catch them. I think I see most of the members of the teams readying up. And there it is. That's saying that noise, that nice countdown signifies the start of the game. We're going to get loading up onto the 3rd match of this first set of grand finals for the ESL NA playoffs.
Garden of Terror will be our map. The advantage is for neither team, except, well, actually, no, technically Cloud9. They do have a full series advantage.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Temple Storm,
Oh, yeah.
they've got to win 2 best of 5s in order to take that first place position.
Absolutely. It looks like the map is just about loaded. Jake, let's get to introducing these teams. On the left side, the blue corner, as you say. We have Cloud9 Maelstrom playing for them. We have Dunk Train on Tyrande. Biceps is going to be playing Uther. I Dream on the Lost Vikings. K1 Pro on Jaina. And King Caffeine playing Tyrael. What's with all this Tyrael play? All of a sudden, we were just talking about Tyrael not being played by any team except for Tuark, and now, just within these past couple of games, being swapped for both teams.
All right, well,
Really interesting.
got everything fixed and ready to roll, and I can introduce Tempo Storm with KO playing as Vala. It's going to be Dunk Train on Rhaegar. We've got Diablo played by Glaurung, Arthalon on Nova, and Soldier, he's rocking the Illidan with that Shando skin. Such tournament, many game. Wow, Glaurung.
He knows.
He knows.
He knows how it is.
He's actually a Doge and it's part-time.
All right, we're immediately seeing talent differences for Tyrael, opting to go for that extra damage applied to hero targets. That's 20% more, not receiving that shield and death, or I think it was called protection and death, not a talent that we see all that often for Tyraels, when we even do see Tyrael in the first place.
Very true. That's but you know, it's cool to see those kind of things picked up in these games. But Purge Evil, I mean, that's gonna just increase his burst damage with the smite, and just running through everything else. I mean, it's pretty standard pickups, but it's gonna be fun to see how this Nova builds. If we're gonna see that clone style once again.
Yeah, I'm just kind of paying attention to Arthalon's position. Are they just going to be hunting down the Lost Vikings throughout this entire game? We're seeing that they are splitting up to soak. It's a strong move that makes sense. We're actually seeing a little bit of babysitting from Cloud9 Maelstrom.
I mean, it's
trying to punish that play.
It's babysitting. B, they can use the Vikings as bait.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So if they can bait out that Nova, well, she will get eliminated really quickly if she's caught up by even a single hit from Jaina, because that makes her so vulnerable. She loses her stealth, and look at this, constantly just waiting. They can see the shimmer, and this is a very scary situation. They are deciding to go onto Glaurung. He uses the Vikings to get that Shadow Charge to get out of that scenario, and Arthalon is right around the corner, but still very wary. Sentinel scouting out his position.
what is going to be the trades here for the Seas? It looks like as though King Caffeine trying to get aggressive in the bottom lane. Dreadnought actually looking to have the additional sustain. And oh no, as he overstepped his bounds, the Druids might just be just enough to get him out. And oh, I just needed one more snipe. Glaurung's like, no, I want it, just give it to me. Not quite enough to get the Flame Stomp over the wall to hit him. Not that that would have killed him. Oh, Arthlon? Hold on. He was thinking about putting himself behind the fort.
Oh my goodness, Diablo actually just got evaporated. The Hunter's Mark and just full combo between Tyrande and Jaina will eliminate even the strongest heroes in the game in terms of health pool.
Right, and okay, we're actually seeing a fairly even split thus far for the Seeds. We might see ourselves, or both these teams trading out enough Seeds, probably 90-90, and we won't see a very early Garden Tower, but we've seen crazier plays in the past where teams that are even at the deficit get aggressive to try and steal those Seeds to get that split push, so who knows, we'll have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very fine dance happening in the rotations from both teams. I mean, that's what these teams actually... Their biggest strength is forcing the position of the enemy teams and catching them out of place. So it's going to be, this is the ultimate grand finals in terms of Heroes of the Storm. And Glaurung, Dreadnought, and KO will be starting this bottom plant terror, while the rest of Cloud9 Maelstrom is pretty much in the top lane hunting for Soldier.
Yeah, they're keeping an eye. Actually, you can see how they're leaving out one. Oh, okay. That was convincing. Almost instantaneously, they're able to move forward and just melt Soldier before he can even react to dash away.
Now, that is going to give Tempo Storm 88 seeds. They're very close. It takes 100 seeds to get a Plant Terror, which will grant you a lot of aggressive capability, but they are quickly just falling back as the rotation from Maelstrom is here, because Maelstrom's entire composition is about blowing up enemy heroes.
They have the Envenom, they have the stun from Uther, the Tyrande follow-up, very possible, and also just the superior positioning that King Caffeine provides with the Eldruin's Might.
Yeah. But picking off a Viking, it's a nice play. They're showing presence in the middle. iDream does have Olaf hanging out here, soaking KO, not even paying any mind because of how hard it is to kill Olaf. It's surprisingly difficult.
Yeah, they're going to get a terror.
Yeah,
Glaurung, Inarthon, and KO have started off taking this first terror. And honestly, they can probably back up now if they're feeling as though the presence is not worth it. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They already have this terror. This is already really the ticket they need to get to catch up in experience here. They can provide themselves a little bit of split pressure, throw the Garden Terror down one lane while the rest of the members forcefully press onto another.
But during all of this, between the 3 kills, between the soak that is in all the lanes at all times, there's a full level lead for Cloud9.
Yeah, that's a big deal. they need this terror to maximize its potential to try and make this comeback.
Oh my goodness.
Soldier.
Oh my goodness, he's actually going to get away. The dash forward is going to buy him just the amount of spacing he needs to mount up and get out of that situation. He will just be going back to base, Hearthing getting full health, and then he'll push back out. Level 7 finally being reached by Tempo Storm, and getting the penetrate, the anti-armor shells on Nova is going to net her the additional aggression to blow up many heroes.
It's a big boost to the ability to burst down a lot of heroes, especially those Vikings. So again, keep paying attention to the Nova and how he's trying to deal with the Lost Vikings to mitigate that presence that they have on the map. All right, level 7 has been grabbed for both teams. We talk a little bit about the Maelstrom Towns. We see battle momentum more and more on that level 7. Of course, True Shot Aura is not an available pickup there, but what is the other? Oh, it's the extra range on the Lunar Flare.
Yes, Lunar Blaze is a very common talent, battle momentum, and I believe that's where you can get the quickening on the heal for Tyrande. They just moved a lot of her talents around, but I'm pretty sure that's where it lies right now. And yeah, battle momentum, that's just going to mean more Sentinels for vision. It's going to mean more Starfalls for damage. And they don't necessarily need additional support, so I like this pickup.
Glaurung still trying to get as much work done as possible with this Garden Terror. They've somewhat caught up. They're not quite down to full level, but still the race to 10 is well in the favor of Cloud9 Maelstrom.
Yeah, it's actually, that's a big deal because you're talking heroics at that point in time. They're just going to fall back here, pick up these Giants in their jungle. Very safe play. The Night Phase shouldn't be all that far away, and it's 70 to 10. So,
Shadowstalk.
Wow. What? This is just aggressive play.
Okay.
We were just talking about how we do not see Shadowstalk
no one takes
anymore.
that talent.
But
and
they
there
have
it
a
is.
gank composition. Okay, let us explain what Shadowstalk does.
Yep.
It cloaks their entire team, and it gives you map vision on the entire enemy team. You get eyes on everyone, even stealth heroes like Nova. So if that's what they want to do, they just want to roam around and just gank. Shadowstalk is the ultimate ability for that, and man, they used it instantaneously after picking it up.
Yeah, I'm glad that was the first talent I got a chance to look at.
Look at the cooldown.
Yeah,
22 seconds in battle momentum is just going to make it negligible. It's a default of 70 seconds, but battle momentum every single time Tyrande attacks, cooldown goes down by 1 second.
Yes, that's a big deal. And we also have that judgment, of course. So they're looking to sustain this very heavy blow-up style throughout the game. And they're really just going to say, you want to take Nova to try to counter the Vikings? Well, we're going to take the Shadowstalk and constantly be pressuring you. You can't hide.
It's so cool. It's such a big play here by Cloud9 Maelstrom. I love these adaptations being, but a huge Divine Storm hitting 4 targets. That's going to be Jaina or Nova falling very quickly. The Judgment going in. Biceps will be turned as well. So 1 for 1 in this team fight. iDream in the backline with Olaf, seeing what he can do. He cannot use the Longboat raid if his Vikings are separated. And right now, we do see Dunkling being chased. Soldier going in. The Ancestral Healing is going to be enough to keep him alive for a long while, but fighting underneath that keep is not a wise choice.
Yeah, a little bit of an overheal with that Ancestral Healing, but looks like we're going to have a trade that was ending up at Nova, killed very early on in the fight, and Uther, of course, falling as well. Making sure that you saw the health bars of Cloud9 Maelstrom was staying very, very topped off during that fight, and that's just thanks to that Uther Ghost. And actually, Glauron getting caught a little bit out of position in the top lane.
That was the weirdest ragdoll I've ever seen.
Gets tossed.
Yeah, he just looked like a stuffed animal. Well, Biceps is just going to be helping to clean up here with the Vikings. They're sitting at 12 to 11, but the Plant Terror, that's the big story, cleaning up these Shamblers in the top left part of the map. That will grant the first Plant Terror to the game. And, you know, Tempestorm, they're going to struggle to have one of their own to defend with.
You know, this puts Nova in an awkward position having that battle momentum as a part of the Shadowstalk. If battle momentum wasn't a thing, you could say, okay, Shadowstalk just happened. We have that 70-second cooldown, but with battle momentum, you're not quite sure what she's doing all the time and how quickly she's bringing that cooldown back off. Just another variable that the Nova player has to think about. Actually, we see Nova rotating to the bottom lane, trying to blow up one of the Lost Vikings, the Eric, yes, and he will end up falling. That's what we need to see Nova really trying to capitalize on, just constantly forcing iDream to be thinking about his positioning, looking at tossing through all the screens. Is there a Cloaky nearby? Is Nova going to apply this pressure that I need to be worried about?
It doesn't give them that much experience, but it provides them control. It provides them freedom. It denies the potential soak on the side of Cloud9, and that will really help them get back in this game. But the Plant Terror, he's already marched all the way across the map. He's at the middle fort of Templestorm, and they need to respond to it.
Yes. Some of the talents that have been grabbed while we wait for this aggression to be thrown down. Shrink Ray, I really like this pick from Uther, and yeah, really good call on to Dreadnought. Actually, that rotation was serious. That was pretty much 2 heroes killed within a matter of 2 seconds because of that Ancestral. It was well timed, but it's just there's no one nearby to help support.
Excuse me while I vomit as to how powerful that is. That was so decisive, and Maelstrom, they're just pushing in. The Shadow Charge knocking Biceps back. This middle fort is going to fall. Nova in the top lane, she's just trying to deny the soak of the Vikings, but iDream is just being so persistent with his Vikings. Even got Balog out of that situation. They're even going in onto this back wall in the middle lane.
They're carving out a path to the core through this middle lane, like you were mentioning. They're starting to take away this wall, and iDream has gotten so much done with this Plant Terror, especially since they were able to eliminate Dreadnought from the fight.
Let's look at these numbers in this game. Nova, she's sitting at 9k. She's doing solid damage. There's not necessarily overwhelming numbers, but look how consistent their numbers are on the board. Yeah, they pick off Olaf. Again,
he was in the terror. I think it was just like, let's leave him here to get as much damage as possible. We can sacrifice this .25 kill.
And I like the fact that Tyrande is beating out Jaina right now. That's actually rather impressive. There is the Judgment going in, and KO is going to get decimated. No, Ancestral keeping KO alive, but Dunk Train, it looks like he's getting chased away. The Healing Ward is doing wonders, and the Shadow Charge keeps him locked in place in the back line. Soldier with Illidan and Eldruin's Might is going to get Tyrael out of that situation, but the Water Elemental needs to be handled. Oh, but the Shadow Charge onto K1 Pro. This is a terrible situation where he will end up falling. In Templestorm, they finally have taken a team fight in favor.
Yeah, they end up losing Vala after all during that last fight. iDream is trying to get his Balog out of there. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And Olaf was the only one left. Oh no, the Longboat raid is popped just to try to keep that one Viking alive. Not so sure if that's the best call, but hold on a second. That's a lot of damage being thrown at the Soldier, and wow, I can't believe they were able to turn this fight around so much.
Wow, yeah, I mean, such a incredibly close fight. Glaurung can just tap this well. He should be rather safe with that, considering that he does have amplified healing. That will give him overhealing quite a bit, and he will actually probably just rotate in and start these Giants because, well, no, he's just going to wait and make sure he's safe because he doesn't know where the enemy team is right now.
Both team fights so far have started with Nova being eliminated almost instantly by Jaina.
And
that's a big deal. Yes,
it's a hard matchup. It's a really hard matchup because any AoE will reveal her, slow her, and pretty much kill her.
yeah. So and she has that Cone of Cold in the Blizzard to try to scout her out, and that's been a big deal for because you really need to have that Nova one staying alive through the team fights to get those gathering power stacks that are also important to her damage output, and two, she needs to be able to pick off targets just like on top of that, just to have her input to the team fights, and without that, you're going to see the Tempo Storm will be at a massive deficit for all these fights. Yes, they had an incredibly nicely timed Ancestral Healing onto Vala to make sure that they could get full use out of that strafe that was not interrupted, and actually the Shadow Stalk is thrown down. Arthalon, they know which one of these is the clone now. Still giving them the map position. They have to play passively. They can't have their Nova revealed.
Now, Shadow Stalk was used. Level 16 was picked up for Cloud9, and Numbing Blast is just going to make this even more difficult. Now Cone of Cold roots for a single second. Common talent in general, but in this situation in particular, it's going to be very scary. Tempo Storm is getting a Plant Terror. They can watch time clean up this bottom wave. That's a big deal. One Overgrowth will handle it, and they're getting these seeds, but they need to be careful not to overextend in the bottom lane. The Snipe just out of range of stopping Idream from hearting home.
Okay, and we are actually seeing the Idream once again is throwing Olaf in the Garden Terror. It's going to be a delayed pickup. They won't be able to get themselves a second Terror like you mentioned, but what are they going to do with these Terrors from here on out?
This rotation, they're trying to get a collapse. King Caffeine on the right. The positioning from Cloud9 is phenomenal right now. The Apocalypse going down. Is it enough? Arthalon is getting blown up at the start, just like we've seen time and time again. And Soldier goes down very quickly. This is a horrible start to the fight for Tempo Storm. Even the Lunar Flare barely whiffing a Dreadnought, but it's going to be enough to get the kill regardless. And Glaurung, he is going to fall. Only Vala in the Plant Terror will survive.
They have to find a better spot for Arthalon to camp out during the start of those team fights. Every single time has been sniffed out in a limb. Are they? Okay, I was gonna say I thought maybe they were looking to really end this game. Maybe they are.
might be.
They're
mean,
gonna at least throw a lot of damage down into the core, and it's
they've
safe
got Longbow.
damage.
They've got Longbow, and that's going to help quite a bit. They're going in. They've got that Plant Terror's health pool, and I think they have done it. This game is over.
Fastest Garden of Terror game thus far.
It by a long shot. I mean, 14 minutes. That's almost unheard of. A very decisive win. The Nova pick did not work out at all.
They shut it down
Tempo
really
Storm.
fast with that awesome Shadow Stalk play. We haven't seen Shadow Stalk used in so long in the competitive meta, and really, it worked out so well to counter that Nova play. They were really banking on Nova to deal with the Vikings. She got maybe a couple pickoffs, but really the Shadow Stalk kept her in check. She couldn't, float around, and having the Shadow Stalk at the start of those fights just to reveal where Nova is sitting, and she gets blown up every single time by Jaina.
And you'd be saying, oh no, Tyrande, you're sacrificing a lot of damage. Her damage was ridiculous on top of it, too.
Yeah.
She I mean, at the end, she wasn't at the top of the charts, but still putting out 13,000 damage as a utility Tyrande, picking up things like battle momentum to just have that Shadow Stalk all the time. Very convincing stuff. Maelstrom showing their ability to adapt on the fly.
Yeah.
And they take a convincing game 3. They are now up 2-1. They are on tournament
point. Yes,
tournament
absolutely. And they could bring this series and shut it down. I'm sure they're tired. I'm sure that they want to just get their $2,000 and get out of here because this has been a long day for all the teams participating.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be in Maelstrom's best interest to just try to clean this up as quickly as possible. The longer it goes on, like I mentioned, Tempo Storm is prepared for the long haul. Maelstrom, not so much.
Kui, in terms of maps,
Yeah.
I believe we are down to 2.
We are down to 2 maps.
Cursed Hollow.
Yes, Cursed Hollow,
And Sky Temple.
we have Dragonshire has been banned out. It's
So
Cursed
Sky
Hollow
Temple.
or Sky
Sky
Temple.
Temple. Tempo Storm has the choice of map. They will decide between Curse and Sky Temple. We're going to throw it a quick commercial break and get ready for the 4th and potentially final game of
it
this
could
tournament.
be. It's been a long ride. We'll see if Tempo Storm can hold out just a little bit longer to try to bring it to that Game 5 and potentially reset it. Their tournament life is on the line now. We'll be back in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, guys, welcome back here to the ESL Major League Playoff Grand Finals.
Yes.
What a title.
We are in game number 4. Losing track of the numbers. Hold it.
We are.
It's game number 4.
Game 4, 2-1
2-1
is
advantage.
the current standings.
Tournament point.
Maelstrom is at tournament point.
Tournament point.
Tournament
If they
point.
win this game, they're done.
Now,
they are the grand champions.
Big thing to point out here. These teams, they have faced each other time and time again.
Yep.
They are both exhausted from a long day,
Mm-hmm.
but ready to go into battle. But the 2 maps remaining in this map pool, Sky Temple, Cursed Hollow,
Yep.
they are the 2 strongest maps for Tempo Storm.
It's true. It's absolutely a good point to bring up, although I will say, in their previous set, Cloud9 won on these 2 maps.
On both of them?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Cloud9 won on Sky Temple. Cloud9 won on Cursed Hollow for the final game of the
And
series.
that was earlier today.
That was. Just something to keep in mind, guys.
The task is a hard one for Tempo Storm to come back into this, because even if they manage to take these next 2 games, that is a bracket reset, and we start over with another best
we do.
of 5.
You know what else is a pretty difficult task, Jake? Taking a 3-0 revenge sweep on 2ARC.
And they did it.
And they did it.
They
They were
did it.
down 0-2 in that set and came back for 3 straight games to get another chance to fight against Cloud9 Maelstrom right here, right now. This ain't over yet.
Diablo has been banned. Does Tempo Storm follow up with a ban once again on ETC? If that happens, Cloud9 will gladly scoop up Jaina for K1 Pro. His power with that hero is
Yeah, he's looking real solid.
is disgusting. It actually hurts watching him because he just destroys everything in front of him.
And we've seen some crazy picks to try to do. I would think that, you know, if you get a slight lead, the Nova pick can deal with Jaina. Like if your execution is on point, it's possible to bring her probably down to like 10% HP before she can respond.
Yeah.
And that means that she has to hit every single one of her skill shots perfectly and probably still get some support to deal with that. And we didn't see that happen in the previous game. We didn't see Nova get used to counter the Lost Vikings. In fact, what we saw was a Shadow Stock.
And it was really cool. I like this ban on Illidan. It's gonna signal a Jaina pick almost no matter what.
Yeah.
And there's a high chance that we will see ETC scooped up very early.
What?
Oh?
Not what I was expecting.
No, me neither.
Uther?
It's a respect pick. They have been leaning towards Divine Shield for a large number of their wins, Tempo Storm. They have made huge plays with it on a number of different heroes.
And now we wait to see what the response is.
I don't think
Still a
they.
lot on
I
the
don't think
table.
they expected
Jaina.
this.
Jaina, for sure.
They
Jaina
could
Vala?
just. They could just go Janavala, but then they're giving you 3 ETC. So it's very interesting right now. I mean, this is the teams trying to play each other.
Yeah, a lot happens on this draft screen. A lot more implications that we can even read into, because we don't know the history of all the games between these teams, and even like ladder matches. All of those things go into it's like, okay, we know this person's strong in this hero, and just all their exchanges, etc. So other things are going on as well. Got to keep that in mind.
It's a great thing to point out. They're dipping into that bonus pool. They're really just trying to think this through. They want to go through every possible scenario. Uther being removed could go into their plans, and they have to consider, do we need to grab Rhaegar? Is it too much of a risk to allow them to pick up Rhaegar here? Jaina was picked up, and they go for Tyrande.
Ooh, this kind of sets them up for some fun plays. I think that this, what does this really signify? I mean, those are the first 2 pieces to the Stitches combo, right? But we haven't really seen Tempo Storm even attempt to run the Stitches. Maybe now is the time to give it a shot. Who knows?
Well, they do
There's
grab
the Vala.
Vala and ETC, so no surprises there.
Yeah.
Kubi, that's a rock-solid composition.
Oh, please. It's too late for this, Jake. It's 2 a.m. We've been at this for 12 hours. Can't handle this. All right, yeah, Vala, ETC, like you mentioned. Very just solid. They haven't really shown their hand too much. But really, these next 2 picks for Tempo Storm It's really how do they want to try to capitalize on Toronto. For some reason, I just really got the urge to see Kerrigan all the time. I just want to see Kerrigan play. Something about her is just an incredibly explosive hero to watch. And actually, I'm gonna pull up some real quick stats. She might have a 100% win rate today. She's banned out pretty frequently, surprisingly. Okay, I don't think Kerrigan was played here. And she was played on Haunted Mines earlier in this set. Yeah, I think she has a 100% win rate today. Not played all that often, so a lot of respect fans for her, but...
Well, during this draft, Cloud9 is taking to Twitter. Dunk Train. They're confident. This is the kind of thing that just shows that they're comfortable, they're relaxed, they're having good... Shadowstalk and Tiro was the most fun I've had in recent memory in Heroes. Just showing how confident they are going into this tournament point game. Now, Rengar has been picked up for Tempo Storm, but they need to get these last 2 picks, and they need to be big ones. There are 20 seconds remaining in that bonus pool. In terms of tanks, Diablo's not here. ETC's not here. We don't see them playing a lot of Muradin. We do see them playing a fair amount of Sonya, but I don't think this is the time and place for Sonya.
She does require very specific compositions. Ancestral Healing might be one of the key pieces to that. Still, though, not the hugest amount of success for Sonya over the course of this tournament. She might have won 1, maybe 2 games, lost 3 or 4 at least. What does Cloud9 Maelstrom want to do to round out their composition for potentially the final game of the tournament? Tassadar still on the table.
Yeah.
Would round out that healing very nicely.
Yeah, he really
And it doesn't look like they're going for any particular style. They just want to have very solid gameplay.
Kubi.
Yeah? What's up, Jake?
I don't know why I didn't think about it. I don't know why I even didn't process in my brain, but it's going to be Stitches for Tempo. Because of the Lunar Flare Hunter's Mark and then just slow for Jaina. I don't know why my brain just laughed.
No, it's fine. I got you covered, Jake. I mentioned it. Mentioned it real quick. It's just, but they haven't been running it. And
Right.
is this the time to run it? That's the question.
Is
now Jake's like, I need the caffeine.
It's okay. Good.
Stitches. I'm not gonna deny that.
Sonya. No,
Cloud9 Maelstrom is one of the teams that.
Kubi. It's not oh. There you go.
Is it
close? Try again. All right, enough of this. Tassadar.
Singing lessons with Jake.
He makes the most sense to me. He's well-rounded. He provides the additional support to keep them alive, and he has the damage. Let me tell you, heroic leap onto a Jaina. Not something she likes to be on the receiving end from.
Is Tassadar? Yeah. Okay. Oh, jeez. Sonya can really dish out the damage, especially with Divine Shield. Okay, I'm okay with it. If she's given the time to throw down those seismic slams, she can really get the damage output. If you got Tassadar backing that up with the shields, Divine Uther, the shield, I like it. And you're right in bringing it up. Stitches is probably the only thing that's going to work super well with this composition. Is there anything else crazy that they could go for?
Now, Glaurung's Stitches in the past life is legendary.
In a past life.
If there is the time to bring out the sickest hooks imaginable, now is that time. Tempo Storm, they want to stay alive in this event, and they are more than capable of making it happen. Okay. And they are going to pick him up. The Stitch himself. Played by Glaurung.
Okay.
The pick potential.
They've saved this card until the very end. I really don't think Tempo Storm has run Stitches this entire tournament.
They haven't. You saw it once last week, I believe, at Titan Arito.
Going back 2 pages here. I really don't think they have.
Guys, this is tournament point for Cloud9, and it is the tournament life of Tempo Storm on the line. Get on social media, let your friends know. I know we're entering the wee hours of the night, but this is going to be a phenomenal game on Sky Temple. We have to see if the endurance of the players is there. We're going to be looking for slip-ups due to just
Fatigue.
Fatigue. And
Morale.
that's a huge factor. Now, I don't know if morale is. It's both teams. In the chat, they seem confident. They seem anxious to play.
Yeah.
So morale seems high.
Seems high. I've been saying this the whole time. All it takes is that one member of the team that perhaps isn't vocal in these chats. That's, it could be bringing the team down. It's just like, all right, I'm not really sure, guys. I don't know. No one wants to hear that. As much as it stinks to have one of your members of your team, not playing 100%, but to be bringing down the morale of the rest of the team, that's all it takes.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't have to
Play
be that guy.
your best.
Play to win. Play 100%.
Guys, as we do enter the potential final game, just going to plug ourselves quickly.
Oh, yeah?
Kubi, where can these viewers, these
Where
lovely
can
viewers
these
find
guys
you?
find me? Guys can find me on Twitter @TheKubi, and of course every Wednesday we do a little show called Town Hall Heroes. I was
9
gonna
p.m.
say my shirt yesterday had the nice logo on, but yeah, that's 9 p.m. every Wednesday on your channel, Jake, twitch.tv/solidjakegg, and we talk about all of the esports updates. We're gonna have, I'm sure, a very lengthy discussion this week about all the proceedings and happenings here tonight during this tournament. But we always have special guests on from the community, from Blizzard.
We'll have a player from the winning team on the show.
Yeah, I don't
this
see
week.
why we shouldn't be able to try to get that thing going, because that'll be very hyped to have that. All right. What else do we do on that show? We just have tons of guests on. We talk about, of course, patch notes. We had a very long episode that I was unfortunately not able to attend, but you guys got through it. You guys did a good job. Real proud of you guys.
Yeah. We had John Z from Blizzard Entertainment
That's right.
joining us this past week. It was very fun to talk about this most recent patch. Sylvanas, we'll get to talk about her in depth. But guys, you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube @SolidJakeGG. I do an educational hero series called The Daily Quest, where I really just break down stuff for a entry-level perspective and high-level analysis. But this game, the fourth match of this Grand Final Series on Sky Temple, is finally about to begin. Kubi, I am so excited.
We've just entered our 20th hour of tournament casting over the past 2 days here, bringing this action to you guys. The teams are exhausted. We mentioned the fatigue. It's going to be playing a factor. It's been a long day of heroes for all of these players. That's so much content. I love it.
It is.
Yes.
It doesn't get much better than this. The quality of the games, each of these series today going to game number 5.
Yeah.
Will that pattern continue in the grand finals? I think so. I believe
hope so.
that Temple can bring this back.
They absolutely have it in them. If nothing else, they've shown that they're very, very capable of making ridiculous comebacks against some of the strongest teams in the NA scene. Let's get to introducing these guys themselves. On the blue side, it's going to be Templestorm, and playing for them we have Dreadnought on Rhaegar. Soldier is going to be playing Tyrande. KO on Tychus. Glaurung on the Stitches, the Master Stitches of Ye Yonder Year. Arthalon playing Jaina.
On the other hand, we have the red team, and that is Cloud9 Maelstrom with Biceps and Tassadar. iDream on Sonya. K1 Pro playing Vala. Dunk Train. He's rocking the Ether. And also rocking, well, that's ETC played by King Caffeine.
Did you hear that little yell as she was running out the gate? That's the Shot of Fury. That is the activatable talent that lets Sonya pick up a quick burst of the Fury, and we'll see that time and time again as she is
Also-
needing that sustain of mana.
Yep. Also exactly what Zoya sounds like whenever his team wins a game.
Oh, really? Do you have any proof? Oh, funny times. All right, let's take a look at some of these other talents. Yep, Chew Your Food, Stitches. That's just pointing towards that full sustained style that we're going to expect to see. And with the changes to Pulverize, yeah, we're going to see that fishing hook. And it really comes down to the hooks this game. I can't stress that enough. Templestorm has to put a lot of their faith into Glaurung to get impactful hooks.
Yes, well, Glaurung is going to be caught out of position here. He's being body blocked by ETC and Sonya, and we can see the damage going down. The Whirlwind is just keeping Sonya alive and dishing out quite a bit of pressure. The hook goes out, will be dodged nicely, and that was just a really nice recovery by Dreadnought, helping him get out of that situation.
The one time that
Wow, that's the power of these two.
Yes. The lockdown, he doesn't have any quick movement to get out of the way of the Lunar Flare, and if it's on point, Arthalon also doesn't have the escape. Wow, that Lunar Flare was really on point. Biceps really just making sure that he can get in the way to stall long enough for King Caffeine to get in the way.
That grenade actually allowed him to get away, and they're going to turn. Oh my gosh,
The slam.
Sentinel.
No!
The Sentinel did not connect, and now this is a really dicey situation for Glaurung. A big play, turning this around, and Glaurung will be the one going down.
Now he got bodied.
Fact. Wow, so many close things, so many fine moves, and KO will be going down on top of it. It's going to be 2 for 1 in favor of Cloud9. So many situations where, a lot could have changed in
Yeah,
this
it
fight
really,
on both
it really
sides.
could have. Just quick snap calls from both players, and now Soldier actually finding himself a little bit out of position. Not going to be able to continue to get that chase with the Blizzard being thrown down. iDream continuing to soak the shots for this top temple. Still, while all that chasing was going on, even though Cloud9 Maelstrom has a kill advantage, actually now all of a sudden they have a huge experience lead. I looked down for a second, looked back up, and they're now really far ahead, picking themselves up some really nice soak, and also the damage from these tower shots to take out the temple towers.
Yeah, but getting these towers for Temple Storm will put them right back in the game. The experience lead has been dealt with, but level 4 for Cloud9 is netting them a bit of an advantage. Now, we see the death on Dreadnought, but King Caffeine is taking so much damage. The heals from Uther, just so much.
The shield from Tassadar as well, just making sure to keep King Caffeine alive. I mean, that's the best opportunity you can get, a hook right next to your tower walls with the Hunter's Mark and the Lunar's Flare. If they weren't able to pick up that kill, you know, it's just, that signifies how you really have to pick and choose your targets with Stitches, and you really need to make sure that you don't end up hooking the tank.
Yeah,
It's just so difficult to kill sometimes.
They really are. I mean, that's the power, especially with the Tassadar and Uther to provide support. Immediately we see that 1 level advantage because of the dominance they had on those 2 temples. I mean, the 1 level lead, they took the advantage with that level 4 lead they already had in terms of talent advantage, took a strong fight, and they just off to such a great start in this game. But now that level 4 talents have been into Temple Storm, they've got some nice options picked up.
I was just running through all the talents to see if anything was particularly out of place. For talent pickups, the only one that's jumping out at me is, of course, the Envenom. Everything else is just about particularly standard. That's just going to give them a little bit more burst play, and they really need to capitalize on that. Whatever target gets hooked, that's the target that's going to get that Envenom, of course, and they really need to capitalize on those hook plays.
The aggression from these 3. You have 2 warriors that have stuns, they have dashes, interrupts, knockbacks, and of course just the support. It's so scary. Soldier needs to be careful backing up, but Arthalon, that is the priority target. The Lunar Flare does connect, and Blizzard helping to zone. Very close on both sides, but they're going to turn. I mean, every time we see aggression on one hero, the rest of the team seems to collapse and aggress on a hero on the opposing side. It's a very fine line in these fights.
Sure is, and we can always see that you just got to pay attention to Glowering and the finer positioning, trying to get that hook, and the hook is good onto Dunk Train. We do see the Lunar Flare being thrown down, a ton of damage, followed up with Jaina for the Blizzard. Still not quite enough. The burst heal from Uther is good enough to keep him alive.
Now the lanes, they have to continue with that soak. Temple Storm is caught up in experience to a large margin, and they're getting really close to the level 7, so the talents will be evened out. But looking at 7 for Cloud9 right now, we see the repeating arrow. That's going to give more burst potential on Vala. Every time she uses Vault, that will refresh the Hungering Arrow, and that can really add up.
Also the cleanse, I really have to point this out time and time again for Uther. If he's nearby, it can really make or break the difference to keep those teammates alive that happen to get hooked. And the aggressive play, King Caffeine trying to dive in to steal these bruisers, actually is not going to end up, and Arthalon is being bullied out of this fight.
How did Arthalon
so many
live
members,
there?
I don't know, and I don't know how no one died, to be honest.
That was absolutely some of the clutchest play I have seen. Arthalon getting out, he had no right to live.
No, absolutely not. And you can see like his damage numbers, he's doubling the damage of anyone else on his team, and that's just, it's just showing you the buff that she received. Not only that, but just the clutch opportunities that she's had to throw down Blizzards that have hit multiple members of the enemy team.
Level 7 to 8, very even right now. The experience is just about half a level. The hook,
oh, they wrecked that
away
that
from,
creep.
from Uther. Oh, did it pull a creep?
They did, yeah. They ended up pulling a creep.
Glaurung, though, taking a lot of damage in this front line. He has the Chew Your Food, he has the additional sustain, and he's going to turn around and throw out that hook onto King Caffeine, but the Lunar Flare had just been used.
So many members of Temple Storm are at half or below HP, and when it comes down to taking and overrunning this bottom temple, they need to get those health pools up. Okay, a lot of them are able to tap well. Are they going to start this fight off with Glaurung initiating with a hook? King Caffeine well aware of this. Just keep in mind the positioning. He does get hooked in, and this actually might be enough to kill. It is, and this is going to signify Temple Storm to run in and go full charge onto this temple.
And if they can pick up another kill here, yes, I mean, that's why you see Cloud9 backing up. Now, half the ammunition did go the way of Cloud9, but they find KO in the backline. They retreat and immediately re-engage, but look at the blow-up! The combination with the grenade and the stun from the Blizzard is enough to pick up a kill on not only Dunk Train, but iDream. Oh no, they are backing up. Just the peel from this damage isn't being enough. He uses the Ancient Spear to approach on Glaurung.
How is no one dead? Whoa,
oh
no,
my
no!
Goodness!
Biceps, if he had the snap call to throw down the storm, might have been able to take up 2 kills. You know what? I gotta say, KO should be sending a giant thank you letter to Soldier with that lunar flare. That, like, seriously, like, that's the only reason that he's alive, is that clutch lunar flare hitting both of the members of Cloud9 Maelstrom as they were attempting to run in to follow up to get the kill onto KO. And honestly, that's a big reason that Tempo Storm is still only, you know, 2/3 of a level down at this point.
Yeah, but that level 10, that heroic advantage is something that you can't understate. This is giving them a small window of opportunity. Now, Tempo, they're soaking all 3 lanes. That's going to get them level 10 in a rather quick fashion. But even just picking up these giants, that could be the play that, you know, nets them a nice little advantage.
Yep, and level 10 also being picked up not too far behind is Tempo Storm with the Shadow Stock, the Starfall, of course, the Ancestral Healing, Kraken Laser Drill, Future Bile, and Water Elemental.
That's a lot of damage output. The Putrid Bile is going to lock people in place for both the Water Elemental and the Laser Drill. And actually, the Water Elemental is going to continue to lock people in place itself. Yep.
Very good points to make. And of course, you can't understate the importance of the combination between Leap and Divine Storm. I've mentioned this in the past, that Sonya, Uther is just such a strong combination. We were talking about the potential for the Divine Shield being thrown down onto Sonya to try to perhaps get the most use out of the Whirlwinds, just to keep her alive as she goes in and deals tons of damage with those abilities. But even still, the Leap stun followed up by Uther running in and getting that Divine Storm stun, we'll see that do work this game.
All right, well, I like this posturing around the boss. Cloud9 is just trying to force fight, and
nice
there goes
cleanse,
the cleanse
dunk.
Yeah,
nice.
Clutch.
Like, it is. That is one of the hardest plays to make. I can't, like, that. That's probably one of the hardest plays to make in the game. Like, on the fly like that, just to have the reaction. It's
cleanse
so
yourself
fast.
from a hook, yeah, because if he gets pulled in, he's dead. And the cleanse, that's a cooldown he used. It's a pretty short cooldown. It is actually only 30 seconds. Makes it a very strong ability, and King Caffeine did get pulled in.
Yep.
If the Lunar Flare can connect, no, the Frost Shot goes out, not connecting.
Yeah, we
so
see
not
the full
gonna get that
rotation.
stun.
They're coming up to King Caffeine's aid. They want to make sure that they can keep him alive, of course. Still about a half-level lead, and now Dreadnought is getting blown up.
Now, he used Ancestral a bit preemptively to keep himself alive. That is going to be on cooldown for this fight. And we see those heroics going down across the map, but the hook onto ETC, picking up a really nice kill, and that laser drill positioning is just on point. With 2 temples on the map and the tank dead right now, they're in a great spot, but he does have stage dive, and he'll be alive in 15 seconds.
Yeah, good points. So you'll have to pay attention to the positioning of Glaurung during those team fights. You might find him actually a little bit further back than what you'd expect to see. So he may not end up being the target for the Ancestral Healing during a lot of this, and actually, okay, another nice cleanse, and that's what I'm talking about. That's really what is going to keep a lot of these teammates alive, assuming that Uther is nearby and has that off cooldown. That's the big reason why Sonya's still alive right now.
All
the
right.
leap!
Every heroic for Tempo Storm is on cooldown, so they can't do much about this. Dreadnought gets blown up in the front line, and the stage dive is just making plays, but the damage output is real. The hooks going again, once again on ETC this time, and the Lunar Flare. Hunter Spark is there. There's a Lunar Flare, but do they have the damage to follow up? No.
Not quite, and this will give them the presence they need, Cloud9 Maelstrom, to remain and stay on this middle temple to get the remaining shots that are there. It's a lot of structural damage, but, you know, it's crazy. 10 minutes into the game, no forts have fallen.
Right, it's
just
been
now.
Very back and forth. Now, that is, in fact, the first fort, but Tempo sitting on the bottom temple, they're going to start sieging onto that fort, but they have to respect the presence of the enemy team, because it is a 5v3 presently on the map. We do have both the Tyrande and Rhaegar making their way back quickly, and they're just going to stop, make a pit stop, pick up these giants, and then rotate back down, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's the smart call. They realize that, of course, they have some heroics that are very clutch and needed for this. They have the Ancestral Healing off cooldown. Still, another 10 seconds for Leap, and they're going to push out. They're going to try to posture as much as they can. And what's this aggressive play that Tempo Storm is making all of a sudden?
Okay, this should signal Cloud9 to just push down the bottom lane. If they realize this is happening, they can just force them to Hearth. No,
I wonder if they'll
that.
wait to cap the Knights. Nope. Okay, that might have been actually a pretty cool play, because you're right about that. Well, no, they back up. That's a good thing to point out. They were already wondering where they were on the map, of course, and they get away with that.
They get away with it. They pick up offensive bruisers, and with that, though, Tempo Storm has lost their final fort. So it went from only 1 fort being down to a
All of a
very,
sudden, yeah.
a very just dominant Temple phase with 2 Temples going to almost entirely to the side of Cloud9. And, well, Temple Storm, they've started to take some siege on their back wall here.
All right, we've got some level 13 talents to talk about. Double Relentless for Tychus and Stitches. The double Sprint for Tyrande and Jaina. None of those are any big surprise. The Healing Surge, I think that seems to be Dreadnought's choice at level 13. Some people go for that a little bit more aggressive play style with the Feral Lunge. Some people like to get the shield upgrade. More often than not, we see Dreadnought going for that Healing Surge.
Yeah, I mean, I like the pickup a lot. It just provides them with that more healing. And these Uther builds also being pretty figured out. I mean, we see that Shrink Ray on Uther.
Yeah,
and
no big targets for it, but there's also not a lot of great options at level 13 for Uther.
This is risky. This has been dubbed the throw pit for many reasons.
That's a good point.
And even though Temple Storm is behind, it's not worth the risk because I mean, yes, you have to make risks, but you have to make calculated risks. And at this point, I mean, Cloud9 knows it's the only thing available on the map, and it's just way too predictable.
Okay, so about a half level back for level 16 for Cloud9 Maelstrom. This might signify a time for Temple Storm to get aggressive. Until then, I think that they're going to have to wait and play a bit patiently until they themselves catch up to level 16, where we have those ever-prevalent talent choices.
But we do have that Temple spawn happening. Now, like you said, that's a big advantage, and Temple Storm is well aware of this, so it's going to be hard for them to take a direct fight.
Yeah, that's Benediction. That's a lot more survivability between Vala, and look at this. Okay, yeah, King Caffeine and the boys.
Temple Storm is on their way.
They know.
It's the quote-unquote throw pit for a reason. Glowering is in position to get a big hook.
They need to move now. They're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it. They're too late here already. But they might be able to capitalize on this fight. The big starfall, the laser drill in the back line, and they're going forward. The hook connects onto Idream, but there is no Lunar Flare follow-up. Heroic Leap going out, but the Water Elemental slowing, blowing up Idream very quickly, and that is going to be the first kill in this fight. Now the laser drill has done its job, and they are going to do their best to pick up Biceps. Does he have the Dimensional Shift? He does have Prescience, and yes, level 16.
Oh, no!
No, the increased just speed provided by Dimensional Warp at level 16 got him out of that situation. Boss wailing away at that bottom fort. They can't let it go and contest it, so Chaos has to go back, and this is an even 4v4, but still 16 advantage.
Yeah, that was a big fight for them to take, and yeah, I can't stress enough the Arthlon finding himself in the middle of a stage dive, getting that early ancestral healing, and this is going to trigger Tempo Storm to move back in this fight if it's still possible. Glaurung now getting caught out, and perhaps they're going to turn this around onto K1 Pro. He gets the receiving end of the huge hook, and the Lunar Flare plus Hunter's Mark. More than enough damage to take out one of their big damage dealers.
Now they have abandoned this boss, but it will fall to that keep. They did enough damage to it, threw down a melting point, and just maybe an overkill to dish out that damage. They will leave Dreadnought here for just a moment to soak up as many shots, but they're rotating up. They know they have the hero number advantage. They want to force Maelstrom off.
Yeah, Biceps could find himself at the... Oh my gosh. Just barely came himself low. Of course, they had that level 16. That's quite a bit more survivability for Biceps on Tassadar with that Dimensional Shift upgrade, getting that movement speed and heal while in Dimensional Shift.
This is a big momentum swing for Temple Storm. They did lose the keep, and that is rough, but they're getting that structure damage. They're going to get this bottom fort, and that's going to be all 3 forts down on the side of Cloud9.
Yeah. And at this point, that leaves just the one keep that has been taken. Still anyone's game. This is a very close, and they have caught up quite a bit in experience with that fort being taken down.
We do see a huge hero leap going in, but it hits nothing. A huge play for them. The drill is in a great spot, dishing out a lot of damage, and there is a Putrid Bile, but this Archon in the back of the lines, it did take out Jaina. Soldier has to run from it. They're turning their aggression. The Archon does dissipate, but we have Stitches falling as well, so it's 2-0 in favor of Cloud9, and the Ancestor just barely doesn't get off.
That's really, really big. They're taking the safe play. They're not trying to run to any of the keeps to try to get that pressure, or are they? Maybe they are. They can leave one person
30 seconds
with the stage dive in
there.
They're
going for it. They're trying to end the game here. And you know what?
They might be able to do it with just Soldier defending.
I think this is actually going to work out. I think Cloud9 has done it. Now, it's going to be a fine line. It's still, we're 16
Yeah, there's
minutes
a lot
in.
of members of Cloud9 Maelstrom that are quite low. Biceps using the Dimensional Shift just to get that HP back.
Yeah, I think they've done it, Kubi. I mean,
there's
Jaina's
still,
up in 1 second.
She is back up. Stitch is back up in 6 seconds. The score's already down to 60% HP, 50% now. Arthlon diving in to get that damage in, and Tassadar is able to stay alive just barely. Idream using his Whirlwind to keep his HP pool up just enough. The Lunar Flare is enough to take down Sonya, and the GG is called. That's it. Cloud9 Maelstrom takes the tournament.
Congratulations to Cloud9. They won in a very close series in the winners bracket, and here they take a 3-1 victory in the grand finals. It seems like every week these teams are trading tournaments. Last
That's a
week,
great point.
Complexity won. The week prior than that, we had Ding It. Tempo Storm won. Today, it was Cloud9's time to win. And that is the biggest prize pool. The stakes were the highest. The level of competition was the highest.
And they earned it.
And they earned it.
They really did. Some very solid play. I was talking about how Sonya had that low win rate. Well, they just turned it around right there. Looking real good. That's the takeaway for this whole tournament for me.
The takeaway
No, I
for this
kid.
whole tournament for me is a bag of flips, as you have lost, my friend. Handle it.
Oh, no. I didn't get a chance to throw.
Well played.
Oh, God. All right. You win this time, Jake.
Very good. Very good.
God.
But
Insufferable.
honestly,